Reveille, donks.
Look at us now, tip to tip. This is our life. This is our passion. That's the spirit we bring to this show.
I'm Luke Thomas.
I'm Brian Campbell.
This is Morning Kombat.
I've got my vape. I've got my energy drink.
Unbelievable.
I've got diarrhea, and Brian Campbell's here. That can only mean one thing. It's time for Morning Kombat. Hi, everybody.
Wow. Is this Miami? Because all I see are vices over here. All these early exit options that Luke has chosen.
I'm getting my Ryan Garcia on. You know what I'm saying?
Wow. There you go. Hey, we probably have a really good show for the people today.
We have a great show for everyone today, so let's get to it. We have
Randy Couture at noon.
Yeah. That got me. That actually got me. That's a great bit. That's a great bit. Hold on, let's be serious for just a moment. We're going to have Mike Perry here at noon.
That's
Florida.
Ocean's daddy.
Ocean's daddy, Florida's finest. He will be here. We'll talk to him at noon. But before that, UFC Saudi Arabia talk, Conor McGregor reaction, BC's feces. Have you seen this shit? All that fun stuff. Even your DMs, the whole 9 yards. It's going to be a fun one. So if you're watching on YouTube, thumbs up on this. Hit subscribe. Thank you for joining us. I'm Luke Thomas. That's Brian Campbell.
I love that you got texted already. Hey, you probably shouldn't vape in here. These,
I didn't vape. I didn't vape.
I know. It was more artistic theater than anything. But you know what? You will vape, though, because vaping is for closers.
Vaping is for closers.
Luke Thomas once said. That stuff will kill you, though. I don't know why you're bringing that. I mean, Sonia will tell you himself how evil that stuff is. You know what I mean?
Really?
You don't remember when he did the...
Oh.
Come on, you're like, I think he just doesn't like energy drinks. No, Luke, he just doesn't.
I forgot. No, I forgot. Fighters do lots of silly things that I don't understand, and I try to block it out. I had forgotten that he had even done that. So.
I have decent shit. I won't boast that it's a next level batch, but like a solid BB plus is what I'm going to give you.
Now, how many Hawk Tua references?
Oh, there's a whole segment. There's a whole Hawk Tua. You got to spit on that thing. There's a whole mini segment. Hey, that chick. Got some dog in her, right? That chick, wow, yeah.
Some raw dog in her, you know what I'm saying?
All right, Osborne. Can we get off? It took me a long time to get off the train, right? There you go. Okay.
I tell you what, I don't know who that girl is. She seems like a fun time, right? She seems like a fun. She's gone mega viral.
Yes. The only thing is, though, for like everyone that she's going to now date, the expectations are going to be through the roof.
They're going to be like, this is false advertising. What? I mean... You know?
Come on, baby, finish what you started. You know, all the rock songs in the 80s were about women not bringing men to climax in reality, right?
No.
Pour some sugar on me. You know what I mean? Like, it's all related. It's all lumped in.
A lot of dudes just not getting ass. Dude, everyone got ass in the 80s.
That's true. Cocaine was the
what are you talking about?
Yeah,
maybe they didn't get enough.
Yeah. Imagine Craig Jones in the 80s. That'd be great.
Craig Jones is in the 80s. He just brought it with him.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're happy to be here. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate it. You can get some merch. We don't have any on.
I got a hat on that looks great.
Get the hat on. There we go.
Wow.
You can get 10% off because we just don't take that shit down ever.
Yeah. So why don't you reach out to morningkombat.store, tell RJ Dunkel Gangbanger that we're back.
RJ Hawk Tua.
Yeah. Yeah, RJ can't print the shirts fast enough, okay? Can we get an MK spit on that thing type of... I mean, actually, we're behind on way too many designs that should already be MK
There's
products.
a million of them we haven't
We
done
did get Jerkins out there. I mean, the thing is, I don't, like, part of me wants...
You're ashamed of this, and I'm like, I'm really not.
Part of me wants to, like, really push it, but think about what I'm pushing.
What?
I mean, it does make...
Your family doesn't listen to the show, right?
Accidentally, they did the other day, and I caught an earful. Luke. Oh,
did you
wow,
really?
Yeah. Wow.
What did they say?
You know, it's a topic for another podcast at another time. You know, the one where we're fixing our family. No, everything was fine. I still like that's Dad's entertainment outlet. We're gonna keep that stuff topic. That stuff is separate.
I mean,
from
I'm in the stage of denial now because Tukey obviously isn't old enough to even get on the internet. So she has no idea. I wonder what it's all going to be like when she actually is able to, and then she sees her dad as a world-class moron.
Yeah, I'm sure Tito and Jenna used to have those same talks. You know what I'm saying, right? Yeah.
You're on fire this morning.
Oh yeah, I'm hot as a pistol. Right there, you go. Shout them out. Right?
All right, so that's that. You can email us at morningkombat@gmail.com. Hey, thanks to everybody who tuned in for last Friday's show, the impromptu show. People seem to like it.
Yeah,
Well,
unfiltered or whatever you called it, right? Like,
uncensored. It was
declassified.
There were no North Korean censors blocking our stuff.
I did hold back my Building 7 material, which is real lengthy. You know, it is
not when you send me DMs. You don't.
I mean, would you say I've got a hard 5 on 9/11 alone, or what?
I've never seen someone who's got more 9/11 humor than you.
I'm really trying to get to that level where I can stand and deliver for our next documentary.
Like Jaime Escalante, right?
That will never get recorded.
Stand and deliver.
Seriously, there were people that came to our London show that were interviewed by MK Donk cameras back in February of 23. Will that footage ever see the light of day?
I'll say yes. I just don't know if it's going to be this year. I'll say yes, though.
All right, we got a backlog. Speaking of the Crown, we got a backlog of promises here that have to work their way out.
By the time it's like completely irrelevant, it will make
then
it
the
will
Crown
make your time.
will be yours. Yeah.
All right, we got to move the show along because we actually have a lot to get to. As I mentioned, Mike Perry will be here at noon. So 9 a.m. in
By the way,
West.
did you hear him and Jake on the Ariel show? They went down some crazy ass roads to promote that fight. Did you hear the topics?
Something about like Jake was going to give Mike a reach around.
Yeah, that's where it started, but it kept going, Luke. It kept going.
It kept going from there?
Yeah, it did go a little bit deeper.
I kind of checked out after that. It's like, I don't know how trash talk turns into we're gonna have sex with one another.
Well, that's what our audience has demanded for years. If we could ever get to that 200,000 plateau, right?
Guys, you made a deal. It's time to bang. No, not like that. All right, we have a lot to get to. So fun Monday here. BC, if you're ready, we can go ahead and get topic number 1 started.
Please.
All right, let's begin. Topic number 1. Well, we will get to UFC Saudi Arabia, but we have to talk about the news that happened on Friday. Actually, after the show that we had done. We had reacted to the Ryan Garcia news and some other stuff, but Conor McGregor basically came out on Friday and revealed something that we had heard but not confirmed, that it was a broken toe that kept him out of UFC 303. Specifically, it was a broken pinky toe. He actually showed the x-rays. You can see the picture of the toe. It was all bruised and banged up, and then there was a clean break in the toe, one of the bones there. I don't know the name of the metatarsal, whatever. And so that is what had kept him out. I still think there's a lot of unanswered questions about all of this, BC, but he has stated his reason he is out. So let me just pitch it to you. What do you make of the injury? That injury being the reason for pulling out of the event, and then also, which we'll talk about, the subsequent like PR tour he has gone on a little bit to kind of repair the damage of all of this.
I think it's a big red flag. I know that this is a case where Conor's almost trying so badly to defend himself. Like, no, guys, I'm not arguing with the UFC for money. I'm not afraid to get into this fight. Here, in fact, I'll show you the medical. Then we see the medical, and then you start to go, given his reputation, isn't that something he normally pushes past? I'm not saying, it's hard it's always going to be hard for us as keyboard journalists, as basement operators here, to try to speak into what a fighter should tolerate in terms of pain or the fact that they're always injured. But let's remind ourselves that Alex Pereira had a similar broken toe heading into UFC 300, which he came in on short notice and kind of saved the day and won. He injured and broke a second toe, which now he's turning around on 2-month notice to save the same card that Conor pulled out of. Let's go Khabib Nurmagomedov. Do you remember UFC, 249 against Justin Gaethje? His final fight, when he came in with a broken toe on his left foot, a broken right foot, and he had like measles or MRSA or something ridiculous during the training camp as well. I'm not saying this to say, look, Conor, you should be tougher, or I would have done the same thing. I wouldn't have done the same thing. But there's a certain amount of shit that any employer will tolerate as long as you are still providing ultimately the basis of why this relationship started in the first place. So if you still sell at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if it's UFC or your local job. If somebody can still do the job at a higher level, they'll get privileges that others won't in terms of their behavior. And the UFC has allowed Conor a lot of these privileges in the second half of his career. He can come and go as he pleases. They will do an Ultimate Fighter, but then still wait another year to hope that he's ready. Well, he had backed himself, worked himself into a shoot, whatever kind of cliches you want to use, to the point where it was now time to stand up and do, at the end of the day, what you do and the reason why you're here and the reason why you get these extra chances, because you deliver, you do business, win or lose. And at this point in his career, it's not really about winning, to be fair. It's about showing up, being reliable, and delivering. And he didn't do that. So we have Conor sound that we're going to throw to kind of get his side of it. But did you see that Dana sound in particular when they talked to him in Saudi on Saturday afterwards, and almost with disappointed dad, he was just sort of like, you know, when asked if Conor will can you rebook Conor in August or September? That's what Conor had said publicly, and Dana's like, yeah, he's not going to be ready anyway. Like, I don't know. I have no almost
no,
like
I think he said, is he going to be ready? How about,
he said he's
September?
not.
How
Yeah,
about October?
He goes, he's not. How about October? He's not ready. How about September? That's what Dana said. So whatever you want to argue on the tone, what it showed to me was that Conor now broke the last straw. He broke the cardinal sin that you can't mess with. The relevance of why you're here, to be on time and to move that product. They built a whole card around him. They let him take forever to get through Roadhouse and all that. This is where you got to back the promotion. We come hard against the promotion. But in this case, Dana's right on, because now Conor has lost his usefulness because he can't be reliable and timely and work through something that, based on his history, based on what champions are willing to do, based on how many of these fighters are so badly coveting being in that 1% where they don't have to worry about the money anymore, where they are willing to take title fights on last minute notice and fly across the world just to make way, all this stuff. And now Conor couldn't be relied on something that seems to be small in the injury scheme. To me, that's just a monster red flag that there is a lot more going on that have to do potentially with the rock star lifestyle that he's got outside the cage, or just the full idea that the same thing that could get him through losses and get him back into the eye of the tiger, that's gone. That's gone. This is, to me, is a major red flag. You know, let's hear the sound. Let's interpret ourselves. But what this tells me, based on all the facts that we have, based on the fact that the diagnosis was quick, but we didn't hear about this for 2 weeks,
which I said never made
leads
sense
me
at
to
the time.
believe there was a full court press put on to where at the end of the day, the guy chose
100%.
not to do business. And when you break that oath, that's the final one. When you break that to me is the company going, okay, well, we're done with you now. Not done for life, but we're done letting you call any element of this. You know what I'm saying? Like, you now owe us. Now come to us.
Gaff, let's hear the sound if you can.
A few times under similar circumstances, and for what? Okay, if I was in a different part of my career, and as I have done, as I've proven, I made the walk. I've taken those chances. And then at times when I probably could have just taken a little postponement, a little build, and give the fans what they deserve. The fans don't deserve to see the fighters walk in there hindered and then hear about it after. So, I want to get my training camps correct, and I'm getting them very, very close. I'm telling you, this was a minor, just a little lapse in concentration where we didn't put on our protective gear, and the training around the cameras got a little bit, elevated, and a little injury happened. It's very, very fixable, and like I said, I'm very close to getting this perfect. And the next time the fans will see me will be 100% Conor McGregor, and I'm excited to show, and I'm extremely confident to show.
Luke, what's your bullshit meter telling you on that? Because for me, there's sirens going off.
I mean, it's bullshit and it's not, right? So, like, I actually had the good fortune of and I was able to verify their identities in both cases. I had a medical doctor reach out to me to offer an opinion, and then I was able to contact another one that was sort of associated with a friend to just get their opinion. Now, people are like, oh, what, these doctors are diagnosing Conor from afar? No, they're not diagnosing. The diagnosis is pretty clear. He has a broken toe. There's not really debate about that. Like, he has a broken toe. That's the diagnosis. The question is what you want to do about it. And both of those doctors were like, yeah, he probably could have fought with that. That isn't to say that he wouldn't have gone in there hobbled to an extent, that it wouldn't have necessarily, could it have enhanced his risk? All of that is true. I mean, it's one of these questions where the diagnosis is a broken toe. Now the question is, what do you want to do about it? And fighters are going to have different responses based on, where, to his point, where they are in his career, where they are in their respective careers, exactly how bad it is, what the recovery looks like, all that kind of stuff. But I can understand now a little bit better why there wasn't an immediate action taken when he got injured. To your point, the broken toe, right? Again, have I had a broken toe? No. I have no idea what it's like, but I can only tell you that these two doctors told me you can tape it up with a week of rehab. You're not going to be back. It takes 4 to 6 weeks to really go back, but that you could basically compete with it. You can get cortisone shots and you can manage. You can win. I leave that to them. Just to point out, like, this idea, like, the medical, like, there's one medical consensus and that he had to pull out is really not true. At least not for people who make a living on active competition schedules. It's not really true. But this is the bigger point to me. I actually feel like what he says in that video is fairly right. Hold on, let me make a point here. Hold on. When he says, I have made that walk injured before, he's telling the truth. When he says, I'm in a different place in my career now, that is true. He doesn't have the same thing. But here's the point that I want to make and what really occurred to me. If he If Conor 2024 was the opponent for Conor 2016, Conor 2016 would eat this fucking guy alive.
Well, because Conor 2024 wouldn't accept the fight. We just saw what happened.
Well,
That's the red
but
flag.
more than that, Chandler's not giving it to him. Conor 2016 would mock this dude mercilessly.
Exactly. That's why when I say what's your bullshit meter, it's got to be beeping and going off on the alarm.
And I want to get ahead of this because I know. Hold on. I haven't had a chance. I want to say that all the fans, Conor's fans, are going to be like, well, he's making a more appropriate decision to maximize his competition.
Doesn't have the leverage to do that.
Okay, but I'm saying just in terms of preserving his health to give himself a maximum chance, that's fine. But the point I want to make is this guy built not just a reputation for taking stuff, he built an identity. This is what, in 2016, he would say, this is what I do. I don't give up like these other guys. I don't take shortcuts or low roads, not low roads per se, but easy outs. I don't do that kind of thing. I am the show. When I show up, everything happens because of me. This comment that he made here tells me he might go and fight Chandler and he might even win. 2016 Conor McGregor is dead.
Well, yeah, we said that last week. We said that last week. And there's no.
But this was to me was the funeral.
Okay,
this to me was the ceremonial aspect.
Here's why
of
you
it.
can't justify the comments, even though in a vacuum those comments he said are reasonable. Fans deserve a fully healthy guy. Blah 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 blah. It's not just the history to compare to that Conor said himself about what should be acceptable for guys at the highest level. He doesn't have the leverage to do this. If he was an aging champion who's talking about the grind and saying, well, I only have a few of these left, it's maybe similar to what Stephen Thompson did, right? Where his opponent missed weight. Was it Michel Pereira? And he was just sort of like, I don't want to fight another guy that missed weight. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to give you that advantage. At his age, he was a quasi-title contender when he said that. You're like, okay, maybe he could stumble in.
Right.
Conor doesn't have that luxury now because he hasn't been active. And the UFC has done everything to bend over and try to fit into his timeline. You can't do that 2 weeks out of the fight for a broken toe. You can't do that. You can do that 6 months out of the fight. You can do that a year into this process, not 3 years into his comeback here. Now it just screams red. Look, when we see an aging slugger in there get hit with a shot and then almost look like he doesn't want to come forward, would be like red flag that he's the last one to know that it's past him. Mm-hmm. To me, this is a different but similar red flag. It's not only a red flag which led to Dana from a business standpoint just being disappointed, like, I don't know what to tell you guys, we can't rely. Basically what he's saying is we can't rely on him anymore. I think even for Conor, the bullshit meter went off when I heard him say all those things because he's saying it not to convince us. He's saying it to justify and convince himself. And that's what I feel like. I'm not saying you got to come back and you got to win. I'm just saying you got to come back and do the very basic, which is fulfill your end of the bargain. This did not seem comparatively historically like an injury that would force you to try to protect this fight so bad. At this point, we just need to see you. Yeah. The promotion just needs your name out there at this point. There's no leverage you can lean on. You're not protecting an unbeaten record. You're not protecting a title streak. Nothing. They just want to see you back. You should have been able to fight. The red flags are going off left and right. And by the way, the red flag should have been going off to us even more. Even though every time we played Conor videos in the last 3 years, we typically would add in a snarky, well, it kind of looks like he's been up all night. Kind of looks like this and that. Can we stop at the kind of looks like? Can we just grab the evidence that we have over the past 3 years? It's not the same guy, not just because he's older, not just because he's cutting corners or doesn't have that same eye of the tiger. It seems to me like he is, Vince Neil 1986 on the outside of his life looking in. I don't know that to be true. That's what it seems like. How could we ever expect, forget success, how about even consistency and health? It's hard to burn it at both ends, Luke. It is really hard. I'm getting that picture from this whole scenario that it's much more than the toe. In reality, the toe is the blinking red light in Amsterdam that got you questioning your morals because it's regulated.
Also,
right?
the logic.
I mean, she's waving me on. It's regulated.
They do make eye contact with you.
I know.
It's
That's
weird.
what I hear.
But BC, this is why, again, I go back to it. People keep pretending like they don't understand this point. If the toe was broken like that with a clean break, right? It's a totally clean. It wasn't like it was half broken. They're like, well, what's a clean break? Which, again, you can make that. That's the diagnosis. How is it possible it took so long for them to come to a situation where they were then moving on? And everyone's like, oh, it took almost 2 weeks for them to find the replacement. No, it didn't. It's 48 to 72 hours to find the replacement. Everything else was hemming and hawing. So, to your point, was there a full court press when the UFC being like, yeah, dude, you can fight this way. You're going to be a little bit hobbled, but you can do it. And then Conor backing off and saying, I don't want to do it. Again, I don't know. I am of the belief, BC, again, that it's possible for him to have done this, to have competed. Again, at what cost, we'll never know. But now we're on the other end of it, where he has asked for extra time. He will obviously now get it. Whenever they rebook him, we'll see what that is. And now if you lose, even asking for the extra time, it's not like a loss would be great in either circumstance, but you would at least understand it a little bit more if he had gone on there hobbled. Now he's saying, I'm going to go in there only when I'm fully prepared. If you lose then, what does that do to any kind of evaluation about who you are at this point in the fight game?
But it's not just the PR, in my opinion, that he's losing by executing this and letting it play out the way that it has, right? With the big secrecy and now him coming out and really not looking like the tough warrior of old. It really starts to make you question some things, a lot of things on how the message was delivered, whether, I don't know. I just got a really weird feeling.
It's the opposite of, dude, like he used to be defiant and aggressively defiant.
Yes.
And like all the rules that keeps you bums grounded on earth, I defy.
Now he's just
Icarus,
defying.
Now Icarus has flown too close to the sun. He's become a different person and he's descending back to earth. And now he wants to be like, well, now I got to make smart decisions about my health and blah, blah, blah. It's like, dude, this is the opposite of how you got famous.
Well, answer me this. It's not just a PR hit. This has to bring down his number of what he's going to get paid when he does come back and seemingly fight Chandler, right? The UFC can't.
In terms of like pay-per-view.
In terms of the guarantee.
That's probably already contractually locked up. I don't know that that's true.
There's got to be leverage lost in that regard.
And this is the point too. It's like, dude, I've said it a million times. We know the story. If you're this famous and you're this successful as a fighter, it's hard to know when to quit. I understand it. But like, this is the point I'm trying to make. Like he has already beaten the game and now he's trying to justify an extended tenure past that. It might work for whatever purpose he has left, but it doesn't look like it's working. And now we have ever more reason to doubt that it ever will. I'm not suggesting that I know for a fact it won't. I'm simply remarking we're in such a different place than everything that boosted his appeal to begin with.
Okay, the final question on here, because the big bad taste in my mouth, there's two things. One was my sort of fear that Conor's just sort of going through the motions and trying to, take the piece of gum off the side of the dam that's in place in a new spot in that regard. But the whole idea of like the message being received and how weird it was. And there were 2 weeks of us doing all these conspiracy theories. In hindsight, is it safe to say that the reason why this was handled so cryptically is because the UFC was so anxiously trying to keep alive hope that they could convince Conor to take the fight? Or is it because in general, there's certain things that they really don't want to come to light because it may paint? You think of what Chael's saying about Conor. Chael matter-of-factly saying on his ESPN show that Conor's in rehab. I'm not sure if it's true, but it's sort of like a rumor that's out there. Is this UFC sort of doing PR damage control on any future Conor payday?
I didn't see UFC doing anything.
By not releasing the news on it, by keeping everything so close to the vest. Is it, instead of this being this thing against MMA media or whatever, however you want to frame it, is it more just them trying to protect their asset? They don't want the full story to come out so that we're not sitting here speculating on this level.
I think that, again, this is a hunch. You're asking me for a hunch. My hunch is that they felt like this was a bad look for Conor. And they were at least willing to prevent that from going as public as it could have been.
Yeah.
He ended up taking it public, I guess, in rage about what Chael Sonnen had said. By the way, he also responded to Daniel Cormier. Did you notice that? He didn't mention him by name, but he mentioned that Chandler was going to get 10x with him what he would ordinarily get. And if you go back to the episode where Chael and DC are going back and forth, Chael said the rehab thing, and then DC was like, Chandler should move on because he could, he'll get more money and he'll be able to do more staying active than he will be waiting. And then Conor responds to that. So I guess, dude, I'm not even kidding. I think the guy woke up and saw Good Guy, Bad Guy, or whatever the show's called, and then just fucking rage tweeted about his health situation.
Sure.
Which, to your point, they were trying to at least, well, not obscure, but keep
damage control.
Yeah, just keep a little bit of damage control to avoid any broader inquiry about it. Strange times.
Strange times to be alive, indeed. Wow, worthy of topic number one as this Conor saga and scenario continues to play out. Topic number two, though, brings us back to where the UFC was this Saturday for the first time ever. Saudi Arabia in a debut fight night card that, had certain elements to it that felt like a little bit more. And boy, can't wait for have you seen this shit when we watch the budding bromance here between one Turki Al-Sheikh and Dana White. But in the cage is what mattered most. Patchwork main event, but we were excited about it. But former middleweight world champion Robert Whittaker, despite taking on the dangerous Ikram Aliskerov, an extreme last-minute scenario, looked very much like the living legend label we've been giving him of late. He needed less than a round, and he really needed little time at all to put together brutal combinations. The uppercut, the first round knockout, the first loss of Aliskerov's UFC run. But bigger than that, Luke, what did Robert Whittaker prove most with this resounding victory Saturday afternoon on ABC?
You know, it's a great question, and I'm going to say it like this. He could have fought potentially, let's say, someone else ranked inside the top 5-ish kind of space. A Nassourdine Imavov, a Brendan Allen, even a, somebody else in that space. And he probably would have won. I'll get to that in just a second. And maybe he wouldn't have got as dramatic a victory, although it's possible. But let's just say he hadn't. Let's just say it had been a little bit more pedestrian the whole way. People have said, well, what does it really mean that he beat an unranked guy? Well, sure. If he had beaten Imavov over the course of 5 rounds, 4 rounds to 1, that would have proven more about how worthwhile the victory is. But to me, that really misses the point here. What Robert Whittaker did was let everybody know, number one, there's levels to this. I mean, holy shit, there's levels to this. Number two, there's people who have worn the belt or are currently wearing the belt at middleweight, and then there's everybody else. I don't know if he would have done the same thing to Khamzat Chimaev. I don't really have any interest in watching that fight because there's 4 guys at middleweight: DDP, Izzy, Whittaker, and I think you have to put Strickland in there as well. Those 4. It's those 4. It's the 4 horsemen of 185 and then everybody else. And what Whittaker did on Saturday was, in bulldozing Aliskerov, didn't make it close for a second, is not just a reminder of how exciting he can be and how good he can be. He has not lost in any capacity the thirst and hunger for a title, and he reminded us he is just as dangerous, if not more, than when he won the title. I should say when he had the title 4 years, and now I think 9 months ago was the last time he basically had it. He's as good as that, if not better, still wants it just as much, and in dispatching this guy the way he did, stamped a ticket at a bare minimum for a Strickland Whittaker co-main on the 305 card. I know he said he would fill in. I think that's a waste of his time, but if he wants to do it, whatever. He is still capable, very clearly, BC, of winning that UFC middleweight title. When you get rid of a guy like that by the way, everyone's like, they both had camps. Yeah, but they each had to fight each other with very minimal preparation for that specific opponent.
Sure.
Look at what Whittaker did. Diagnosed him within 90 seconds and put him the fuck away.
And you gotta factor in the unknown of what Aliskerov brought to the table for Whittaker. But to hear Whittaker so defiantly afterwards, because by the way, he got shellacked by the Russian-speaking media. Did you see that?
No.
There was sort of question after question that needed to be translated, of course, to him. That eventually the spirit of the question was, hey, great win and you're a great fighter, but you were preparing for this monster in Chimaev. Does it take away from your win at all that you had an easier fight? That's like sort of just suddenly pissing on what Aliskerov brought to the table. And what Whittaker had to do in the face of that a couple times was to bring out the levels and really put out that. But what he said was, look, I was prepared for 25 minutes of hell, of war with Chimaev. So when you know the dedication that he put in, because he's at that point, was he 33?
33.
He's at that point where any given night, he's either going to give you a tease that he's getting old, or he's going to do this, remind you that on any given night, he can beat anybody in the division, which he can. That is without certainty. But for a shitty situation, losing such a big name opponent in Chimaev, he really played it best case scenario. Got the right guy that would justify him fighting like an unranked guy, because at least Aliskerov was coming up and we suddenly were like, wait, has Whittaker taken too much damage in general? Is he walking into a buzzsaw? And then to beat him with the dominance that he did, he actually can, in this situation, entertain a conversation that he may have cut to the front of the line. And it's like this division is already like the best soap opera division in the sport right now. It is like the most must-see TV in the top-end players. Anytime you match them together, tactically, the fights are close. There's a lot of history at stake whenever Adesanya and Whittaker, former champions, are getting involved. DDP's there, Strickland's rising. I mean, you got Bo Nickel and Joe Pyfer in the new generation coming behind him. But what Whittaker did in winning this, I think, just added like another curve and storyline into this division of what we're doing. And Luke, they say what the rudest thing you can do is bring flowers to a funeral, because it suggests that you didn't bring those flowers to somebody when they were alive. I don't want to be that guy that misses it. So every time we say Robert Whittaker's name, we got to add living legend after it. I mean, it was certainly a circumstances of illness and the reality of 10 rounds of fighting Yoel Romero that sort of wounded Whittaker at times, and he, lost his belt, ran into a tough opponent historically, not Adesanya, although I do believe he won the rematch and no one wants to talk about that anymore. But think about his losses.
Yeah.
Think about his losses. Yeah, he got one-sided and railroaded by DDP, but look at how he's bounced back from there. Yeah, he's got 2 losses to Adesanya, but it's still in play that they could one day fight a trilogy and that it would matter for a title. I hope Whittaker gets the selective treatment that a former champion this popular gets, because he is in that Poirier, Max Holloway portion of his great career where it's like he's still here and can win back the title and start a new chapter. Yet I feel like we have to treasure what we have here. One of the greatest, most well-rounded, durable, thoughtful fighters that we've seen in this era. And it's like every time he gets this type of win, it reminds me of Poirier going in there and head kicking BSD of like, damn, Max going in there and doing what he did to Gaethje. It's like, man, this guy still got it. What is the path, though, to get back and get that chance when you look at the players in this division? What is that path to get his opportunity?
So it looks like UFC 305, which will be in Australia, is going to be Izzy and DDP.
And Whittaker said he would be the backup.
And Whittaker said he would be the backup. And by the way, that could be very relevant. We don't know who the hell knows what could happen by the time we get there. So Whittaker could easily just slide in that direction. A lot of people have said, what about Whittaker versus Sean Strickland as the co-main? I got to tell you, I wouldn't hate that, BC.
But should he have to climb another one? He beat Costa in sort of a, okay, where are you at? Check in.
Yep, after being brutally finished by DDP.
But this is a big power move. This might... I'm not if Strickland got the next one after this based on what happens and look, it has to be based on, because if Izzy wins back this title in the Thriller, they probably go to a trilogy with DDP.
Well, the thing is, Strickland fought Costa after losing and won. So did Whittaker. And now Whittaker has added Aliskerov on top of it. And by the way, don't lose sight of something. He was in the main event of UFC Saudi Arabia. When Hamzat fell out, Whittaker contractually had the right to be like, I'm done here. I'm not going to compete. I'm going to wait for that guy or whatever. He could have easily not stayed on the card. He chose to stay on the card. They gave him an unranked guy who certainly, I don't think that was the best version of what Aliskerov can be or will be, but certainly a threat. And fucking Whittaker demolished
Well, let me ask you
him.
this on the demolished part, because what did I say in our Friday special show to tee this up? Like, we haven't seen this guy get a stoppage since 2017. Is it asking too much at this point in his veteran career to make a change and be more offensive and go after it? You heard his comments afterwards. From here on out, I'm only going after it and going after the finish. Now, look, it's one thing to say that, but on the elite level...
Against Izzy, that's hard to do.
There's a reason why you don't see a lot of finishes on that level. Did this, though, even though he fought maybe the perfect Aliskerov on the short notice and just really showed him the levels, is this sustainable? Can he be more offensive-minded where he can be this dangerous?
Dude, I will tell you what, man. This is a true story about life, and Whittaker just really exemplifies this, and I mean this with absolute sincerity. To the extent you or I or anyone watching this has spent any amount of time in their adult life trying to get good at something, there is one lesson that you inevitably pick up that you really can't lose sight of. Progress is simply not linear. It is not like this. It's this and back and all kinds.
For MK, it felt like that for a while, and then last year happened.
And then it was Malaysia Air the last 6 months. But now listen, they found the wreckage, and we're trying to put the plane back together
But
again.
I won't eat your ass to live. I won't. To like that soccer movie.
Yeah. Okay, but you get my point. It's not linear. It's not linear at all. There are all kinds of setbacks, sometimes big, sometimes small. And he has done nothing but stayed the course. And I want to make a point about his game if I can. What I really love about Whittaker's game, which I did not always love to begin with because it wasn't fully there, now it's fully there. Robert Whittaker is well-rounded. Like, he can do basically everything, but he can't do everything all that great. Nobody can. He's got strengths and weaknesses too. But what I love about his game, BC, and you see this a little bit, I'm not going to say they're identical, but you see this in problem solver boxers. Like Tank Davis is a problem solver boxer. He can diagnose what the situation is, and he doesn't have to have all the skills. He takes his existing skill set, makes a read, and then acts upon it based on the direct stimulus that his opponent is giving him, and then runs him over that way. He problem solves. Everything in his game is smoothly interconnected. There's no inefficiency to how it all works together.
Like prime Tyron Woodley, to be fair.
I wouldn't put Woodley on this level. Sorry. No.
Easy, Dana. All right.
In terms of the striking, no, definitely not. Definitely not.
The way he put the whole game together, diagnosed the problem of his opponent, forced you into one lane.
I would say Whittaker I'd have to go back and look at some of Woodley's footage to give a better answer.
Okay,
But certainly, that is what carried him forward in this fight, and he has relentlessly tried to stay on this non-linear path back to the title. And I made this point on Saturday, BC, which is, I remember when Rich Franklin lost to Anderson Silva, and we were like, all right, that was really bad.
Which time? Yeah.
And then, hold on a second. And then he fought him again, and it was also really fucking bad. Remember, dude, he came this close to beating Izzy in the rematch. And I know he's had some setbacks, so has Izzy since that time as well. Dude, it is absolutely possible. 2 point. Oh, we say, he can beat anyone on the division any day. No, Whittaker might actually be the best guy in this weight class. I know he just got finished with DDP 3 fights ago. Are you really going to count him out? Are you really going to say he can't do it? Are you really going to offer that up? I have such admiration for a guy who has had this and then goes back and then this and then goes back and continues to refine, continues to get better. And then you see results like that. Dude, he has earned the biggest possible opportunity at middleweight, and it's a life lesson for how building yourself should look.
And Bobby Knucks is just that dude, though. Like, I've always respected how he never really cared in interviews. It's hard to get a great Bobby Knuckles interview, because he's always just sort of been like, yeah, whatever, mate. You get a lot of mate thrown at you, almost like, I could rip you right now, mate, but instead I'll just kind of speak down to you. And
it's a lot of passive aggressive shit.
It is, but yet, I don't know. There's just something about the aura and what he represents that it's like I say, Dustin Poirier is an American hero. This man is an oceanic hero. Good old Bobby Knucks.
What would it mean if you got the title back? How remarkable would that be?
I mean, it would be remarkable because of the gap between it. And look, it's like one of those things where it's like, I could argue that he won the Izzy second fight. And I can argue that the first fight, man, was he really physically compromised? Although, look, that version of Izzy's probably going to
that Izzy was not going to be stopped
everyone.
That night,
But he went through legitimate pitfalls that would send someone in the other direction for good, Luke. And it's not just the physical, remember when the Gastelum fight got canceled and he was going through that stretch where physically his body just wasn't staying together. There was also the mental stuff he had to get through. I mean, he was very open about, the depression he went through in certain times of that, getting the highs of winning the championship and then losing it when he really wasn't 100%. For him to endure and now still be, when the division is this deep, an argument that he may be the best. I can't wait to see what the sequels bring us. What it's like sort of looking at this Dune franchise. Now they want to do a third one. Man, I can't wait to look at.
Are there 3 books?
Well, there's a lot of books, but there's only the first 3 are what, the hardcore's Web Scream, Christos Christoforos. He'll be they get bad at a certain point. But it's I want to see the ending of it. So with that in mind, if we know the next movie in this middleweight championship picture is what you mentioned, Izzy trying to win the title for a 3rd time against DDP, what are the next 2 fights after that? What are the coming attractions? What is the lineage of the middleweight championship going to look like, in your opinion? I mean, it's hard to gauge.
It's hard to gauge because everyone, except for Whittaker and Strickland to each other, everyone has a relationship with the other one.
Does Chimaev never get there? Who knows?
Dude, Chimaev, I want to say this. If you're Whittaker, it is an insult to give him a fight except anybody either for a title or for a #1 contender. And even the #1 contender is a little iffy.
Yeah.
It is a...
Or Izzy because of the history, but now Izzy's got a title shot, so it's a moot point anyway.
Fine. Okay, there's a little bit of history there. But again, former champion is sort of what we're talking about here. Dude, you just go down the list like Imavov. Is that a waste of Whittaker's time? Yes, it is. You could go down to Hermanson and Allen. These are not bad fighters, but these are a waste of his time.
The only one that would have made interesting sense is what we talked about, the possibility of Bo Nickel. Now that we know what we know about the version of Whittaker,
I think Whittaker would have fucked
Whittaker
him up
have effed him up on the feet? And
he would have stifled the wrestling, I think, enough to then light him up on the feet. It wouldn't have been like this, where he just lit him up to begin with, I don't think. But dude, it's a waste of his fucking time. It's a waste of his time. It is either Izzy, DDP, or at worst, Sean Strickland, and nobody else.
Do you think the Smart Cage said that same thing to Randy Cooter each of the last 2 weeks?
Randy, you have missed 2 Morning Combat interviews.
It's a waste of your fucking time. Do not show up. Somebody get Hardy up in the bullpen.
This strike was delivered at 17 miles per hour. I'll just say this. One thing about Khamzat Chimaev, 30 years old. I would say the first half of his prime did not go great. It didn't go poorly, but it did not go great. He still has the second half of his prime, which you can still do a lot with. They said maybe Abu Dhabi in October is a potential timeline for return. I guess we'll see. But coming out of this fight, even though Aliskerov got run over, there was no part of me that looked at this and goes, oh, they've got to make that fight with Khamzat. They have to run this one back.
Right.
It's important that these two settle this. No. Whittaker's on to something else, and Khamzat has some building back to do. They are in very different parts.
That's another guy they can't trust. 5 main events, and he hasn't been able to.
Okay, but his situation appears to be like much more dire, like literally existential in terms of a professional career.
For sure, and he can't fly everywhere, which is becoming a. You know, Dana said the same thing about Shara Bullet. He's like,
okay, let me ask you about the Shara Bullet thing very quickly. If Dana is, and I'm asking here, I'm actually not declaring, I am asking.
Okay.
But if Dana is saying, hey, we can't bring this guy to the United States because he won't be able to get a commission to license him based on his eye injury, how is it not commission shopping to do what they're doing?
Oh, so they're commission shopping based on government.
They self-regulate in Saudi Arabia. They self-regulate basically in Dubai.
Well, the only restriction is you can't fly to the U.S. based upon your relationship with.
No, I think his issue is he can't get regulated because of his eye.
Oh, okay, then that is shopping.
That's commission shopping,
okay.
right?
I was thinking.
I saw MMA fans be like, "Why can't he come over?" I'm like, "Holy fucking shit, guys!" They're not saying he can't come in the country that I'm aware of. What they're saying is they can't get licensed because of his eye. Do MMA fans? Serious question. In 2024, do they know it's regulated by the government? I honestly don't know if they know that or not.
No, I told you that my dad, up until 2 years ago, still thought it was bare knuckle, no rules. He's like, right, Brian, like we used to watch in like '93, right? Like same thing, like no rules. You can just kick the guy in the crotch.
Hold on, Gaff, can you get on the mic very quickly?
Yeah,
so the audience can hear you.
People need to hear.
What's going on? Yeah, I'm right here.
Gaff, is it not commission shopping if they're keeping him there because they can't bring him to the U.S.?
That is exactly commission shopping.
Commission shopping.
Okay, can we talk about one other thing related to Shara Bullet?
Yeah.
He fought Mackenzie Dern's husband on like a 3-hour notice.
He's a little bit overrated.
You were right, like, but it's worse.
Yeah.
You were questioning whether the ground game would equal the ferocious striking, and the fact that he sort of plays this character of this like foreign villain with the red hair. I love the package looks great, nice package look, but like he only won this fight because his opponent was not ready for 15 minutes of war, and because he grabbed the fence relentlessly, Luke, in key spots to avoid getting taken down and was barely warned.
Yeah, pump the brakes on his upside. Please.
Yo, like this guy was like a walking corpse by the end, just waiting to be hit, and he's still.
Also, he seems like a bad person. He was the
I
one.
don't know about that.
Oh, he kicked the guy at the jiu-jitsu tournament, and isn't this also the guy that got in the couple's face in Russia because they had the audacity to kiss on an escalator? This guy?
Oh, I didn't know about that as well.
Then everyone's like, "Oh, he's fucking awesome. He's fucking awesome." I'm like, dude.
You know what's interesting?
Awesome is a strong word.
This is the difference between us. You know nothing when it comes to MMA fighter like power couples, and they're married. This fighter or this trainer, like you couldn't be bothered. You don't want to know about Merle and is it her fault that Poatan moved on? You know, it's not up to you. But you know every public slight, every foreign dictator that every fighter could be linked to. You know everything.
There's a lot of it. There's a lot of it in this sport. My dad was asking me about it. My dad was looking into it. He was like, he had found out that when Bolsonaro fled Brazil after Lula, he stayed at Jose Aldo's house in Orlando. He's like, Jose Aldo was an MMA fighter? My dad doesn't know anything. I'm like, well, not just an MMA fighter, one of the fucking best of all time. And then he had heard about, I forget who it was who was running for was it Overeem in Parliament? Somebody in Europe had run for office from an MMA background. He's like, I don't think there's any other sport where people go from fist fighting one another to from like active competition to trying to run for office as much as MMA, or at least to be like, at least to be
boxing too, though. Boxing too.
Who?
Pacquiao, Eric Morales.
Yeah, you're right.
There's been a few.
You're right. It's weird though. Combat sports makes people want to like be government adjacent or like.
Well, I think in some of the other countries, the second and third world countries, when you get to that global level of fame, you become.
You can do anything.
You can do anything.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
All right. Very good. We're going to be joined in 15 minutes, allegedly, by Randy Couture. No, I'm teasing. Mike Perry.
Which is a great get, by the way, Mike Perry.
By the way,
week.
how fucking hilarious would it be if it's actually Randy with Mike Perry?
That would be great.
We do a dual interview.
Wow.
We can ask him about the dumb cage. Which, by the way, did anybody watch Bellator or PFL this past weekend? Did anybody? I watched Paul Hughes.
I can't watch the replays
he was really good.
on Max. I can't.
So I figured out a solution to that.
Yeah.
Can I give it to you?
Just don't watch. Yeah, I got it. It's how we get around all this Bill shit. Just don't watch
Guys,
it.
I got it. Here's my PFL coverage. It doesn't exist.
Yeah.
If you're gonna miss it, and when you see the thumbnail pop up ahead of time, add it to like my events or my list.
Okay.
And then you can go back and then find it on your lists after it's over. Because I tried yesterday to go and search Bellator Dublin. You can't find it. But then I clicked under my list of stuff, and it was right there. So that's a way to get around it.
Okay, all right.
Good. It's a great deal that you
When
have to
I think about Max, I think of enduring movie franchises like Night Eyes with Shannon Tweed and that guy Stevens.
I saw that
Andrew Stevens.
I saw that Civil War movie over the weekend.
That has nothing to do with Night Eyes 1, 2, or 3.
I know. I just wanted to change the subject. I find you boring. All right, let's go. Topic number 3, if we can. BC.
Yes.
Very quickly. How about this one? Your guy had a big win in the co-main event at UFC Saudi Arabia. Alexander Volkov basically routing Sergei Pavlovich. I think one judge gave him 1 round, but that was really about it. So let me ask you, in this big co-main event win in Saudi Arabia, did he show you with this performance and then what he's done up to this point that he can win a UFC title?
It's still matchup dependent, but yes, he took that step forward. It wasn't as big of a step as I said could happen. I said, what if he walks in there and stops Pavlovich? Pavlovich coming off a fight that would have put him in a title fight or an interim one against Aspinall, or maybe it was for the interim title, Luke. But the whole point was, if he had gone in there and done that, it would have been such an explosive move. 4 straight wins over some relative names in there too. Didn't get the stoppage, but Luke, I wonder if he did more to potentially convince you. And I say matchup dependent because it's not without flaws. Somebody with speed can still light him up. Somebody who can wrestle can still make it a problem, although he has worked on his takedown defense and he is strong as shit. But am I riding the Sergey, or am I riding the Volkov train only because Sasha and I look alike, Luke? Because you've told me I look like a dollar store version of Volkov. I'll still take that because that guy's a badass. Has he not evolved his striking with the switching of stances, with the level changes? Like, there's a lot more in there wrinkles. Look, at the end of the day, there's still distance you have to cross to score on him that he can make you pay with big counter shots, with heavy leg strikes. He's still a physical force in there. Elite guys that can package in the speed or the wrestling, it's going to be a problem. But I'm watching a guy now with 4 straight wins, and you got to think about the level of danger that Pavlovich brings, where he was really never in danger in this fight. He did take a couple clean shots, but he took them well. I mean, this was masterclass against an elite heavyweight. Not all heavyweights are made the same. They bring different, it's why styles make fights. But tell me this guy isn't angling toward a title fight now when we consider we may never see John Jones again after the Stipe fight. There's a dream scenario of Alex moving on to fight John, champion versus champion. Who knows? But if Aspinall is ready coming out of the whole John Jones scenario and he needs a dangerous title shot, you could do a lot worse than Volkov, because I think he does bring danger to the right matchup.
I would say this. I think that might be one of the best performances I've seen from him comprehensively. It was an excellent job maintaining range, making adjustments, because he actually started out orthodox and ended up staying in southpaw the majority of the time. That added the distance between himself and Pavlovich.
And he was tearing up that lead leg.
Tearing up the dude. How about the kicking to the body, both in keeping the backhand of Pavlovich holstered, as well as getting underneath the elbow there and cracking his ribs. He was doing all kinds of great kicking work. So I'm going to say this. I have been, there's sometimes fighters have performances in fights, and it may not really matter long term, but it can end up like affecting how you look at them. And I remember watching his fight with Vitaly Minakov back in 2013, a long time ago.
In Bellator?
Well, here's the thing. He was a tall guy at that time in 2013. If you were not watching MMA, you won't appreciate this. There are now a lot of tall guys in MMA who actually do a pretty decent job of fighting tall. But 2013 was the era of Stefan Struve, where there was a bunch of tall guys. He kind of exemplified it. But there was a bunch of tall guys, none of which who fought tall. Volkov does a really, really good job in MMA contexts of using his frame to his advantage. Tactically, strategically, there was such a good job by him. I really have to give him credit. So to answer the original question I asked you was like, did I see someone who can beat Tom Aspinall or John Jones? I really didn't, to be honest with you. I did not. Remember, Tom Aspinall defeated both Sergei Pavlovich and Alexander Volkov combined in less than a round. I just didn't see anything that makes me think that would change.
Well,
okay, hold on, but I'll say
I don't
this.
take away the Aspinall stoppage.
I'll say this. I don't know what the future holds. That's why you have to. This is why the guys have to fight the fight. 4-fight win streak, and then to do it as thoroughly as he did here, where he even took some big shots and he didn't lose bearing. He kept on the game plan. The game plan overall worked tremendously.
He beat the shit
well.
out of him too.
He beat the shit out of Pavel. Blood was smeared all over his face. So to me, has he earned a potential title opportunity? Yes. And whoever has the belt has an obligation to defend it, whether or not you think those individual contenders have a shot or not. So it doesn't really matter, actually, if we think he can win. No, I don't think he can beat Tom Aspinall. But you keep putting performances like that together, and you look again, I'm not going to compare him to Robert Whittaker, but a guy who has really put together a game that works for him in this context. You are entitled to the riches that come with that kind of achievement.
So could he have a legendary Polish power Jan Blachowicz type run? Now, doing the late 30s thing is not as surprising at heavyweight where you can do that, but could he go on this run where he essentially raises his game to the next level? Maybe he's in the midst of that run now with this 4-fight win streak, where every fight you're seeing him a different fighter than he was before in earlier versions. Because he's come up for air a couple times where you thought he was ready.
Yeah.
You thought he was legitimately ready to make the move. The Aspinall one was humbling because it was like, damn.
It was so quick. And remember, he gave Blades, I think, a little of some fits as well.
He rallied back.
Right. Blades was able to get the takedown and whatnot, but he was bent, never broken, and so really gave Blades some problems. So it's hard for me to look past those, even though obviously the Blades one was very close in that sense. I just feel like the wrong question to ask is he the new guy in this weight class? That's not the right question. I think a better way to look at it is we are finally getting heavyweights who are developing mature skill sets, and in particular, tall ones who are showing how to compete tall, and then doing that against dangerous ass punchers along the way. That is a remarkable thing. I'm telling you, in MMA, maybe Semi Schilt, you could say, was doing it back in the day. But absent Semi Schilt, tall guys. Dude, I remember watching Tim Sylvia's fight against Gan McGee. Anybody, show of hands, anybody remember Gan McGee?
These guys don't care about you at all.
Right. This is my point. We have come so far from that, almost on its own. I find that more remarkable and, frankly, a little bit more charming.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
All right.
You were probably charming in your day. I didn't know you in your prime. You know, I've only seen this aftermarket.
I mean, I've had a few Hawk Tuah, encounters in my time.
Spit on that thing. Hey, Luke, let's take us into topic number 4. Top of the hour, Mike Perry will be checking in with us. But deeper on this UFC Saudi Arabia debut card, we go to the light heavyweight division. Johnny Walker. Wow, when it goes great for Johnny, it does. When it goes bad, he's looking at the stars, flatlined on the ground after Volkov Ozdemir, former title challenger, wore him out. That's a second brutal KO loss in a row. Luke, the evolution of Johnny Walker at SBG in Ireland, John Kavanagh, has seen a move toward the ground game, seen some things we like, seen some things we haven't liked, but that's 2 straight brutality in a row at a key point in his career. What the heck overall has been the lack of connection here of him not getting, essentially evolving to that true title contender level? He keeps hitting the walls whenever he gets there.
They have turned Johnny Walker into a defensive fighter with bad defense.
So you're saying let him cook. Let that weirdo cook is what you're saying.
Well, it's one of those things. It's like with John Jones, right? Like Greg Jackson actually used to get, people won't remember this. So Greg Jackson used to get a little bit of shit.
And it's not your fault if you're, born in 1997. As Luke likes to say that for all people,
I mean, I like your material when it's fresh.
Well,
not the reheated pizza rolls from the freezer. Although those were good back in the day too. But the point I want to make is, BC, I remember when Greg Jackson got a little bit of shit because John Jones was throwing Stephan Bonner this direction and then spinning back, elbowing this direction, and he was telling people, "I've learned how to fight off of YouTube." That's a real thing that used to happen, and it was dynamic and it was crazy. Greg Jackson took a look at that and said, okay, that's cool that he can do that, but we have to give him a more fundamental skill set. The difference is John won a fucking title doing that and then basically went undefeated doing that, right? It may have made him a little bit less dynamic and a little bit less flashy, but it cemented him as, at worst, the best light heavyweight of all time and maybe the best fighter of all time. What the fuck can you say about what they've done to Johnny Walker? Go back and watch the fight I watched the Ankalaev fight again because I was like, how did that one go? And then I rewatched this one against Ozdemir. Dude, he gets backed up off guys who get close to him, off strong boxing. He leans all the way back. He moves into power.
Yeah.
He doesn't have, dude, a guy that long, how does he not have the best jab in the business? We didn't put on the rundown, but I want to say something about D-Rod. Look at the jab he had against Gastelum. Wasn't enough to win the contest, but it kept him in it.
Sure.
It kept him competitive. And you can see the value in the jab. How does he not have that? They turned a guy who was this explosive person. And people said, go back to that. I don't know if that's the right answer either, but I can for sure say making him defensive as a sort of posture and then not giving him good defense with that style, this is the result. This is what you get. You get backed up by guys who want to be in boxing range, close range. They trick you to what they want you to do. They move you into the power or whatever, get you backing up straight, and then it's curtains for you.
Dude, I've said it 3-4 fights ago, and I mean it. He's not going to learn the things that he's missing. It's too far gone. He's not going to learn the natural defensive reactions and sort of like, I like the idea at first of trying to utilize his size and aggressiveness and add some ground game to him. And for a while, it looked like it was working. But I've always come to the same conclusion when I watch him reach up and step up to another level. And now this is 2 straight fights where he tried that and got flatlined. Is look, at the end of the day, he is who he is, Luke. And his spots mean that he's crazy. He likes to throw down. If he's not being as dangerous and risky and irrational as possible, then he becomes a little predictable. And then the deficiencies defensively and head movement, I think, jump out even more. I don't think he's somebody who can execute this change, and it be expected to go out there and throw a no-hitter and not put himself in a spot where he's going to make a big error and leave himself open. So you might as well let him go out there and be as dangerous as he can and possible. Now, I'm not talking about dancing to the cage and getting, BC to say, get off my lawn and you got to grind everybody at the Harley Davidson prep point. I mean, maybe he's just trying to set up for later, build some material, so to speak. But Luke, this is at a point in his career now where you can become a punching bag pretty quickly in these big explosive fights. And credit to Volkan for never going away, right? Things had not gone well for him after he destroyed that patron in a Fort Lauderdale bar and eventually got a title opportunity.
Also, don't forget, Yuri put his lights out.
Yes. But this was a sort of interesting comeback win in the idea of like, okay, this guy's still one punch away from maybe making.
It was a great performance from Uzdemir. Yeah. He did exactly what he wanted to, did exactly what he was supposed to.
No time, baby. No time.
Walked him backwards, put him into the left. The left hook landed like 5 times before he put him away with that last one and then rocked him over. And by the way, so let's go through it. The Jamal Hill loss, the Ankalaev loss, I think
Corey Anderson loss. When he was going to get John Jones after that.
Yeah,
if he had won
and
that?
then this loss here against Uzdemir. Those are not just 4 knockout losses. Those are 4 brutal fucking knockout losses. And you add that to whatever he has done to himself in sparring or everything else. It's like, I don't even know what to say. And again, maybe it's they're trying to show him different things at SBG and he's just not taking to it. So maybe that's the case. All I can say is who he's become since being there, I don't think has materially improved him in any noticeable way. I don't know what that is.
You got to let him be him, and you're going to get mixed results from that. It's going to be feast or famine, Luke, but that's sort of who he is, right? You can't change that.
Also, Uzdemir, I didn't think he was ever going to get a title shot after losing to Cormier. I thought, that's, interesting guy, but came and went. He's not too far from one.
It's not too far. He's lingering.
Ankalaev is ahead, obviously. So he's still
Anthony Smith by elimination, just by everybody else getting sick, is like one win away from another title.
Just keep showing up. Yeah. Just keep showing up. But again, we'll see what happens with him at UFC 303. But for the case of Uzdemir, I had kind of forgotten about him as a potential title contender. He has reinvigorated that with the Guskov win, and now this one back-to-back, both stoppages, I think, inside the first round. Granted, against compromised opponents or otherwise not on the level, but great wins.
I'd like to see him against Jamal Hill next, but maybe Jamal's being promised something a lot more.
Or how about this? Volkan Uzdemir versus Carlos Olberg.
Sure.
That's a fun fight.
Sure.
That's a fun fight.
Let's do that.
BC, right. Before we move on to, I know we got Mike Perry coming up here really quickly. Can we talk about Kelvin Gastelum?
Please.
So I went through and I made a list of this to talk about his weight misses.
Dana not happy.
Okay. Gastelum missed weight all the way back against Nico Muskoki. He missed weight by 3/4 pounds. He missed weight against Tyron Woodley by 10 fucking pounds.
Whoa, 10? They still let that fight go on?
He loses that one by split decision. That's the only one he's lost. Gastelum
10 pounds?
10 pounds. Gastelum didn't even attempt to make weight against Donald Cerrone at UFC 205. Remember that? It was weigh-in day. He didn't even do it.
Yes.
And that fight got scrapped from the card. So that's 3 times. He was fined for how he weighed in against Darren Till at UFC 244. Remember, he got fined by the New York State Athletic Commission because they claimed he may have been leaning on Rafael Cordero on the scale.
Oh, just hold the towel. DC showed us that
the towel was in front, but he came in at 184 when he thought it was going to be 186, and they fined him for that. Again, that's not proof. That it was more like you may have been doing it, but okay, didn't look good, and then missed weight basically this time by 15 pounds.
15?
Well, he's supposed to be a welterweight fight against Daniel Rodriguez. What do you want to say?
Oh, so we never really got a...
We never got... So,
yeah.
15, so you've got Musoki, Woodley, Cerrone, Till, and Rodriguez. 5 times this has happened. 5 times. BC, add up all the advantages that have been conferred upon him for doing this and how much problems it has created for his opponents. How is that not worse in aggregate than biting someone?
And Average Joe Out rolled out some sweet new merch and
Awesome
to have
merch.
that happen.
But I'm
then
serious,
again, there's no curse because he got the win. Look,
the guy bit another guy. I'm not saying he shouldn't have been written off the island. Fine. You bite a guy, you're fucking out of here. How is that worse than all of the aggregated trouble that Gastelum has caused his opponents?
I can't defend him anymore. And the best thing he did was win, obviously, because at least there's some sort of like when Chimaev missed weight by 38 pounds to fight Nate Diaz. They gave him Holland. Well, at least he whipped up on Holland. So you're like, okay, well, we can't get too mad. But this is going to hurt leverage business-wise for Gastelum. When Dana's not happy, when you're trying to be that aging offensive guy with a name, we can plug you into key situations. He essentially just closed the door on welterweight, it felt like, right?
Also, the thing is this.
Right? Doesn't it feel like that's over now?
Yes. I mean, he did not look bad. I thought he looked, for the most part, pretty good.
But when you're talking about not having, if he knew far out that this was how it's going to go, and then he just doesn't make that hard cut, what does he get back in terms of that ability in round 3 to be able to hang in there and move?
Well, what I'm saying is, I think he'll retain his employment for as long as it lasts with this contract or whatever.
Sure.
But what I wanted to say was he looked good against Daniel Rodriguez. I'm not going to sit here and say he looked poor. He did not.
No, his boxing was crisp.
He looked fine. But my point is this. He just got smoked by Sean Brady at 170. This was supposed to be back at 170. Now it's at 185. Do you see him realistically winning a title in either of these weight classes? I do not. He's not beating Robert Whittaker. I know they fought already and Whittaker won, but it's not happening. He couldn't beat Sean Brady. He sure as fucking beaten Shavkat Rakhmonov. Remember, they were supposed to fight. Dude, Rakhmonov would have done unspeakable horror.
Yeah, he got
him.
lucky that he got out of that fight.
So this is my point. It's like he looked like somebody who could be valuable for the UFC if he could be relied upon to fill in here, take this kind of fight, stay active, win some, lose some, but you're a good fighter. But if they can't even count on you to make weight properly and you've missed it, or I should say, had 5 different instances.
And he got tapped by aftermarket Weidman. Let's not forget that.
No, I thought he beat Weidman.
Did I invert that?
I forget. I have to go back.
No, that's the only
Gaff,
win.
did he beat Weidman or did he lose?
That's the only win Weidman had in a stretch of otherwise
Yeah,
losses.
Weidman submitted Gastelum in UFC Long Island.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, I bet you Long Island Luke Nocita was there. I bet you was.
Gambling.
Yeah.
Chuck tossing dice.
I was there with Luke at that
Oh,
fight.
you were?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Yeah,
yes.
dude, you guys are hardcore motherfuckers, man.
Yeah, so Gaff, are you a member of the Mile High podcast? What is it called? The Main Card Minute?
I'm a regular guest and co-host. I am the BC of the main card.
Wow, yes, all right.
Yes, there you go.
A
So,
lot of this going on all
so
over
how's
the
it? So
broadcast.
just to wrap up on this, he's a fine fighter who can do some things in the sport. But if you miss weight or have some kind of weigh-in issue 5 different times through the course of your career, you are lucky to be holding on to your job. You are lucky that is happening for you.
I would agree with you on that regard, Luke. And I've defended him for a long time. It's past that point. I don't know what's left for him, Luke, outside of doing the company a solid and probably fighting a hammer coming up, right?
Yes. All right. What's the story with Mike Perry?
Yeah,
here?
Running a little bit late, but he will be here shortly.
Okay. So do you want to do topic 5 or do you want to wait?
Let's get into it.
All right. Topic number 5, if we can here, BC. Let me close my notes here. All right.
It's what's going down this weekend, Luke. It's a big one.
UFC 303 this weekend. There is no Conor McGregor, but there is Poatan. BC, all eyes are on Alex Pereira as well. They should be. BC, I almost don't even know what to ask you about this guy. We've kind of talked about how interesting this card is now that he's replaced it. But given everything that Conor said on Friday and how much of a contrast there is, how important to the UFC is Alex Pereira in 2024? And the question I would ask opposite of that is, I'm not saying he's the biggest star. He's not. Is he the most important A-list guy they have?
Yeah, you have to say the answer is yes, just on recent history, which was bailing out UFC 300, which for all our money, if we ever get the inside on another Roku special, that may have been the card that was supposed to be Chandler versus McGregor for all we know originally. And then maybe the Roadhouse stuff pushed it off. It might explain why UFC seemed to bank the final elements of that card extreme last minute. But who was there? It was Poatan, broken toe and all, got the job done, defends the title in that second weight class again. Well, now he's coming back with an additional broken toe, 2 months. And Luke, I talked to him in an interview I'm hoping to be able to get finalized and get out there this week on our Morning Combat channel. But a big part of what he said was, the window is short. I know where I'm at in my age. I know the opportunity that I do have. He said he was lucky that he was healthy each opportunity. So he said when he looks at, he's like, I can't lie to you. I'm getting paid well. I'm getting paid very well to come in here and save this last minute. But he also thinks based on the matchup, it's a fight that he can win. He feels great. And I think it's his idea of, he said himself, when he joined the UFC, it wasn't a thought process of like, can I make these quick moves and then end up backdooring myself into the GOAT conversation? But think about where he's actually at. Now, look, he's got to beat Prochazka, which this fight can go anywhere. It's going to be an absolute dangerous shootout, and that's what we want out of it. But look, if he wins this, and we've already thrown out the ideas of him going to fight John Jones for a third title at heavyweight, and I brought that up to him, and he said, look, I'm the one who came out on TV and told the UFC, I want this heavyweight fight. They wouldn't give it to me yet, but he's like, I'm ready to do that now because I know how good I can be. I know the window that I have. Yes, he's been huge for them. I think he's got money in the bank to ask for what he wants. Luke, look, things have to fall his way beyond just beating Prochazka to even get the John Jones fight. Jones has to defeat Stipe, and then somehow they'd have to F over Aspinall worse than ever before and be like, sorry, Tom, not only are you never going to fight John, but you got to wait an additional fight and keep defending that interim title. Because if we get a chance to do Jones-Poatan, you got to do it in a fucking football stadium. Like, you got to do it. Luke, he literally could go into that fight being the guy who would have the chance for the first time to be a 3-division champion. But if he beat Jones to do it, you can literally bill it as the GOAT against the guy who could take it. Would you have ever guessed, because it's 10-fight career he's had. We can play up and brag about what he's accomplished, but think about it. It's not just what Poatan has already accomplished in this short window. It's the chess playing that he's putting himself in position. I don't know if he even gets that opportunity. But what if I told you that 9 months from now, he's in Allegiant Stadium in Vegas against John Jones and has a chance to finish that fight as the greatest fighter of all time? You need happenstance to go your way for that even to have a shot. You also need to be unique and next level and special. And not only the villain at the end of the movie, you also need to be the hero. And Poatan's got all those elements. I can't even believe he's that close to potentially entering that point. So what can I say about him? Yeah, Luke, we've never seen anyone author the exact run that he's on, and the company couldn't need him any more than they do, and he couldn't have used that opportunity the same. I always talk about my last few years at ESPN before I went to CBS. You at ESPN used me because I'm on TV making no money and can barely pay my bills, but I use them, Luke, because I banked that experience. Poatan has used the UFC over the past 3 years to hopefully build the financial empire that won't end for his family. But holy crap, he's on the verge of some insane shit. So yeah, he's arguably the most valuable star they have. And if he gets to this level we're talking about, if a Jones fight in the 3rd division is even possible, or maybe it's Aspinall, maybe he's got bigger balls than we think. Maybe it's Aspinall that he does this against, whoever. We got a shot here. He's got a shot at like extreme intergalactic royalty, immortality in this sport. Yeah, he's the most valuable guy they got right now because he stands and he delivers.
Jaime Escalante style. He's Donald Cerrone, except he can actually win the big ones. It's the reality.
Wow, that is the difference.
That's he'll do everything that Cerrone will do, except he'll basically win the big ones.
He'll knock your favorite guy out.
He'll knock the fucking teeth out that guy.
And he'll steal your beer. He's very like Mike Perry, like, come to the party, steal the beer, take the women, and go home, all right? Knock you out if you get in the way.
I think we got him here.
I think we do. Can we bring him in? Can we bring in BKFC's finest? Can we bring in the Combat Sports pay-per-view superstar and Morning Combat favorite? That is.
There he is. Holy shit.
A platinum appearance. But, Mike, we had to drop everything. Mike Perry can't wait to talk to you because Red Panty Night, Mike, get it fired up in the Perry household. July 20th, the Zone pay-per-view. Not the bare knuckle ring, the boxing ring. Jake Paul. Like, this is the Super Bowl. This is the ultimate lottery ticket. And oh my God, you have a chance to do this shit. You have a chance to knock out the guy that everybody hates. Mike Perry, how you living, bro?
I love the introduction. I'm doing very well. I appreciate it. It's the Platinum Panty Night. I am the money fight. I've been saying this. My wife's got a drawer full of them platinum panties, if you will. And we wear them every weekend.
All right, Mike, I talked
you can follow up if you want on the panties.
I'm going to let that one be.
All right.
I'll let that one be, but I respect it. I respect it. Mike, I talked to Jake briefly. He told me there was no rematch clause for this. What? I'm a little surprised by that. Are you?
Well, you know, when I beat him, we can ask for a rematch if he wants it, and I don't know if he will. I don't know where he goes after this. I could care less. Um, I might just go on a little vacation after this. That's what I might do. I've been fighting, been winning, and might go spend some of this money with my family. But I don't know if it's quite enough yet. I might have more work to do before the year ends. I won't have that multi-million-dollar mansion on the bay with my yacht dock in the back. I need something to compete with the Lamborghini yacht that McGregor's whipping around. Shout out to McGregor. Y'all were just talking about him. He liked a couple of my reels this morning on Instagram. Wanted to make sure that I knew every time it reloaded. Conor McGregor liked 2 of your reels, so I appreciate that. And everybody's watching. King Ryan tried to troll me a little bit, I think. Had a funny moment in my mid video with my boxing coach. He asked real quick for a quick slip and left, and my left missed a little bit. And I think Ryan was trolling me a little bit on that missed left hook. But if it works, don't fix it.
All right, Mike, let's talk about boxing here a little bit. All right, and specifically the what you see if you do any tape study on Jake Paul. Imagine I'd never seen him box before. What would you tell me about what he's good at and what he's bad at as it relates to boxing?
Footwork. He's good. He'll move. He'll run. He'll back up. He'll go side to side, whatever. And I'm interested because in the last 2 boxing matches he did put pressure on those guys and came forward, but those guys didn't. I don't know if they had anything in their back pocket for him, and I will. And to the mission I've been on since leaving the UFC has been giving the fans the fights they want to see, owing it to myself that, no matter what happens in there, as long as I come forward and I go balls to the wall and I bring it, I can be happy with that as long as I brought it and tried to attempt to beat this guy every second that I have the opportunity. The fight is won in the gym. So I've been getting my training and just enjoying my life and, making workouts out of it. I had the family on the pontoon yesterday while I was on the kayak. And, my babies, they were all cheering me on while I was paddling down the ocean. And Jake's boxing, I said footwork. He's going to push with the jab. He's going to look to set up that big right hook and or uppercut. And, I'm going to try not to get hit by it. But if he does hit me with it, I will enjoy it thoroughly and ask for another. And, I'm going to hit him back. I'm going to hit him and he's not going to like it. I'm going to chase him around the ring. I'll make him tired. I'm keep that pressure on him. It's to me in training, it's not about what they do. I don't watch tape. I really don't. Maybe some of my people do. If I watched anything, it would be the highlights of the Tommy Fury versus Jake Paul fight where Tommy Fury beat him, and it was a close fight, but Tommy Fury beat him, and it seemed a little amateurish, that fight there. And Tommy's defense wasn't great. He got hit a couple times, but he took them shots well. I believe I will take them even better and land better shots back. Tommy boxed him. He backed up and moved, and we'll see depending on my speed and my footwork on that night, but I'm looking to come forward, cut angles, get to the side, and then punch him straight down the pipe. It's about what I do, not what he does.
Yeah, fair enough. If I may, Mike, I wonder what you make of this. Like, I feel like one huge difference between you guys, and I'm glad you brought the Tommy Fury fight up, which is if you watch that Tommy Fury fight, he gets hit a little bit, Jake does, and then kind of gets rattled, right? He doesn't keep the same game, and he kind of he takes bigger risks, and he's lunging further, and he's looking down more and whatnot. Whereas with you, there's been times where you get hit, and there's no difference in your demeanor. There's no difference in how you look at the fight. Do you notice that as well from him?
Maybe. I know I did it to him when we sparred. That, as I started making him land into some shots when he tried to dodge them. And he just gets back on his bike and moves, and I'm gonna have to cut him off with better pressure. And all I've been doing is pressuring folks and bringing the fights, and I'll be there, to if he swings, I'll try to make him miss and try to make him pay, or I'll roll with the blunt of the blow and just keep coming at him. I expect him to be on his bike and once I put that pressure on and I keep it and I stay in his face, if I can keep the gap closed, he's gonna grab me. Boxing is a little different from BKFC as to where we can work more in the clinch. Don't know how much they're going to allow work in the clinch. Ryan Garcia fought Haney. They got some work off in the clinch. When he fought Gervonta, he tried to punch him when they were in arm's reach. And MVP, when I fought MVP, he grabbed on really well, which was something that I didn't anticipate. He held on to me tight and tried to, slow me down that way. And he also did something. Every time the ref would come in to separate us, he kept shoving me, and I was getting pissed. So then I started shoving him back, and then the ref's like fighting us in the middle, trying to separate us, and we're both just pushing into the referee. So, if Jake's already said some things, I hope I'm super angry that night. I love to fight off passion and anger, and I'll have plenty in the gas tank to just let it all out.
Well, Mike, can you come clean for us on what may or may not have happened? We love a juicy backstory. I know you guys don't love talking about what happens in a sparring session because of sort of what goes into sparring, but people are trying to clown you by showing videos of you congratulating Jake and essentially telling him that, he got the better of you. What should we make of that? What year was this sparring? What can you tell us about it?
It was 3 years ago, I think. It was a week before I fought Daniel Rodriguez. I was about 179 pounds. Jake was maybe 195. I don't know. And he hit me with a couple sniper shots in the second and maybe the third, but I took those quite well. His team was all there cheering. I had my son, who was maybe a few months old at the time, in his little Duna. My wife was there. That's who I went to the gym. Jake had all his people there, some security or whatever, and they were cheering for him a little bit, but then those cheers kind of died down after he hit me with a couple of those sniper shots, and I kept putting the pressure on him, and I just get angrier and angrier if you hit me. And anger is where I'm truly happy. I really enjoy being pissed off. And, I'm looking to because I'm already excited about this fight, and this is an opportunity. I think it gets to be me who gets to do this to Jake and prove that, I'm kind of on MMA side, in MMA's side here. Like, I'm kind of fighting for the MMA guys that he has. There are two that I respect, T. Wood and Anderson Silva. I respect those guys, but I just feel like I've brought something different as an MMA fighter in boxing. I feel like I've always been a boxer that had the most success in the MMA octagon, and it's just a day at a time, and we're fine tuning the details. And I think I'm gonna be too much for this kid when it's time to step in the ring.
God, I can't wait for this fight. July 20th, the Zone pay-per-view. Whoa! Well, Tampa, Florida. What about the BKFC factor? You've got the King of Violence championship over your shoulder, some other memorabilia behind you. You're the face of a burgeoning combat sports pay-per-view promotion at the moment. Are you going into this fight in business with them? Are you allowed in your contract to sort of step aside and take a big opportunity? How did that conversation work out?
It was an interesting way that you worded that question there, Brian Campbell. And I got to be careful with you. I know how you like to ask some funny shit.
I mean, I regret some of the things I've asked you in the past, but now I feel like we respect each other more, you know? Yeah.
No regrets, brother. No regrets. We live how we go. And you know, sometimes you gotta let go and let God. And I really don't understand what that question was, but yes, I mean, I'm in business with them. They understand what they have here with me. I am promoting already this fight better than any one of Jake Paul's past opponents. I don't know if they were afraid or what's going on, but you know, I just having fun with it. Post a little video here, talking a little shit, letting Jake know that I'm coming for you. And you know, I'm putting the weight on myself as to where when it comes time to get in that ring, that I do exactly that. I talked to someone yesterday, right? We're on a boat dock. We're having a nice meal and getting ready to go work out on the water. And someone says, he goes, because you know how these people are in the comments. He goes, you know what I want to see when the fight starts or whatever. I'm like, what do you want to see? And he's like, oh, I want to see you figure him out. Take your time. I said, what the fuck? I'm taking my time right now. We got all this build up. By the time that referee says go, you think I'm going to wait a little bit more to see what he's got? It's a right and a left. I'm coming after him, and I'm going to get him as soon as this fight starts. I'm not wasting no time. I got 8 rounds to get the job done. Why would I sit back and wait?
Indeed. Get after it. Question stylistically for you, because I think the biggest style question is the size difference. If we know you as a 170 or an MMA, you've been boxing at 185 with BKFC. Jake has been lingering in that upper cruiserweight area, close to 200. I know he's been trying to become a heavyweight for Mike Tyson, so he's going to come down a little bit. You've sparred him, though. What is the physical difference in weight between you in terms of like what you're up against? Is it the clinch that it matters? Is he a heavier puncher than the 185ers you've been bare knuckling against? How do you sort of prepare for that?
Well, bare knuckle is an interesting type of hit. And, you know, people think that my power won't carry over, but these are 10-ounce gloves. I'm stopping people in the gym with 16 ounces and headgear and 10-ounce gloves, no headgear. Jake's got a long-ass chin and a crooked-ass nose. And, I mean, with those little paper-thin 10-ounce gloves and a big old boxing wrap in between, so there's no space in between that glove and my fist. It's just all casted and pressure. I'm hitting them with a brick. And don't worry, they'll be checked by the commission. Everything will be signed off on. It'll be fine. And, you know, I got to watch out for his punches too. You know, you can hit a little harder with a boxing glove rather than bare knuckle, but I don't know because I've hit people just fine bare knuckle, knock their teeth out. I've been thinking, you know, with the boxing glove, I'm hoping that I can knock some of those teeth loose on Jake on July 20th on that pay-per-view. So make sure y'all check out DAZN's pay-per-view on July 20th. But yeah, you know, I just kind of get lost in my head thinking about how I'm going to punch on him. And that's really I just keep circling back to that. So I kind of forgot what you asked me.
I was just talking about the weight, you know, that we can say it's a big weight difference. Yeah. Is it an actual major difference for you?
That's right. I'm sorry about that. That was my fault. Yeah, I'm not worried about the weight at all. I'm up 200 pounds right now. I think I'm going to continue to grow a little bit. I feel it too when I'm sparring and training. I feel the weight. Like I have tons of energy. I put it on correctly. I might even cut a little bit to get down to 199 for this fight. So I'll be like 205 or so and then cut down to 199. And I put it on really well. I still got my abs and you can see it in my shoulders and my upper back and my upper body. And I'm pushing people around in training. I take the hits. Like now it's like not even a paper cut. Like it's like a piece of paper got thrown at me. And the way my body weight, just even with a couple of pounds, the way I'm pushing people around, they're getting tired of dealing with the pressure. And I'm just kind of walking around in the ring like I could do it all night long. So, and I don't believe he was 230 ever. We never saw anything where he got, I don't know. I know he posts lots of videos that I don't see, YouTube here or whatever other media platforms that he does have. I just see what I see, but I never saw anything where he got on a scale. They were saying he was 230 going up for the fight. If he was on juice, if he was not on juice, I could care less. And, I think he'll be maybe 212 in the ring with me, and I'll be about 196. And we see what I did to Luke. Luke had 20 pounds on me. I was 188, 189 in the ring with Luke. Luke was 205. So
Fair enough. Hey, Mike, sort of a different question here. Like you talked about, like enjoying to compete out of passion and maybe a little bit of anger as well. And I'm wondering about something, which is if you keep on succeeding the way you've succeeded and the money gets bigger and the accolades get bigger and you really begin to build, I mean, you already have, but continue to build a life that you always kind of wanted for yourself. I've seen some fighters, and I'm not saying you're like this as well, but I guess I'm asking, I've seen some fighters go down that path and they actually win so much that they don't have that kind of anger to compete anymore. And it makes them not compete the same way or not compete at all. So I guess my question is, do you worry about using that as fuel where if you keep winning, it actually undercuts the reason for the fuel being there to begin with?
no, I'm pissed all the time, dude, for no reason at all. I'm just so pissed off all the time. And I it's a constant battle. Men's mental health awareness. I know Sean Strickland talks about it, and he spars all the time, and I do too, but maybe not as much as Sean. But I like to take breaks. I like to try to go back and be a human being. A father, a husband. I try to have fun with it, make jokes about it, laugh at myself sometimes, and having everything has changed because I do have everything. I am very comfortable, but I like to get down and dirty to the nitty gritty. I like to get back to my roots, and I never forgot where I came from. And that's kind of the thing I've been thinking about a lot, is like when I was on the MMA Hour and I told Jake, you're going to be terrified. And he kind of backstepped on his own words, because he told Ariel, he was like, there's always this feeling on fight night when and he was talking about nerves and being nervous. And then when I said, you're going to be terrified on July 20th, he said, what is there to be afraid of? Well, you tell me why you're always afraid when you're about to step in that ring. You are. And me, it changed from being afraid to just receiving all this greatness and energy and everything. And like my last fight, man, I was so pissed off before I even, like, that morning. And when I went downstairs, I got ready, I went downstairs, I went to grab a bite to eat. I sat down with my wife and I noticed all these people in this hotel lobby, and everyone was leaving me alone. And I knew that they all knew that I was the main event tonight, but they were leaving me alone. And it just made me like grateful. I was happy that everyone came out to support the event and support me and my goals and my journey as being this fighter. And I knew what I was up against, as far as, getting punched in my face bare knuckle. I might get split open. I caught a little cut. I didn't even feel it. The adrenaline in that ring is such an incredible honor to get to feel that, to get to feel that, you know, and I earn that every day in training and throughout my camps, and that's why I've earned this fight, and I get to be the guy that puts this kid in his place and shows him that he's very green and not as, you know, a lot of these guys, even the ones that had experience, this was a topic of conversation yesterday in our training, was practice doesn't make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. And that's been a goal of mine since leaving the UFC, you know, is that I make sure I do all my boxing. Everything has to be correct, technically and physically and mentally, and all that other stuff I just kick to the side, and I stay focused, tunnel vision on what it is I'm wanting to do.
I will say this though, Mike, if you end up beating Jake Paul, I can't think of a single victory or walk-away win. I can't think of a single victory that anybody could have in the sport that would get boxing fans and MMA fans to love a person as much as they might if you end up beating Jake Paul. Have you thought about that? Like, people want to see him lose so badly, which is obviously part of the appeal. If you actually pull it off, dude, it could be like transformational for your career, could it not?
I feel like Andy Ruiz.
Hopefully you feel like Andy Ruiz before the Joshua fight, not after the first one when he ate all that.
All the sushi off the naked ladies?
I felt bad because, it kind of, where I'm
He
going.
got big for the second one.
Yeah, he
got
did.
big.
But if I had sushi and nude women as an option, as a young champion.
But I'm serious, Mike. I'm serious. Like, this is this is why the no rematch clause blows my mind. Because, like, if you do him up, holy shit, man, the world's going to be your oyster.
You might be fighting McGregor in some organization if you win this. I mean, it's like nothing is off limits.
It's fucking crazy.
Nothing is off limits, Mike. Anything is possible.
Anything is possible, brother. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I have lots of ideas. I'm focused on this one, but yes, the sky's the limit. But I also think that the fans, the new fans that I'm seeing or getting, I try to focus on the support and all the people who already know that I'm in this to win this, and they, that they got my back and they're with me, and then there's other types of comments, but it's a win-win and a lose-lose either way for either of us. A lot of my fans know what I bring to the table, but they still, it can be iffy. We still not sure. I mean, we didn't expect him to do what he did to Tyron Woodley. And I'm remembering that during my training, that I won't allow myself to do anything other than, bring some pain to him. He gotta feel it. And I got an entire life's worth of pain to bring to him, and show this kid, man. Just, I'm getting kind of heated right now, but
I love it.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate it, man. I love that talking about him is annoying me and it's getting me hyped up, and it's going to be a long night that night because we're the main event. People are going to have to wait for it. Who knows how long my walkout's going to be, his walkout's going to be. I'm trying to set those things up too and put on a show for the fans. And but most importantly, the fight is the event for me, to make sure everything is perfect, or as it can be close to perfect, when I'm in the ring and they're about to say, knuckle up or whatever it is they say with those little pillows on. So, what else can I say, man? Emily Arena, Tampa, Florida, DAZN pay-per-view, main event.
Damn right.
Mike Perry versus Jake Paul, the platinum one.
That's Ocean's daddy. July 20th, DAZN pay-per-view. Mike, thank you as always for joining us. We've been down since day one. We've been down since that time he wanted to kill me, and he probably had the right to be fair.
Yeah, Mike, congratulations on this opportunity, man. Really can't wait to see what happens July 20th.
Thanks, guys. Enjoy the show, man. I appreciate your time today. Shout out to all my sponsors. Shout out to Morning Combat. Shout out to the MMA community. Shout out to everybody rooting for your boy, and fuck all the haters, bro. Watch what I do.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
There he is.
There he is. Mike Perry. Love it. Wow. Always such an inspiring, friendly fella.
Like, you gotta,
seriously,
dude. You gotta the fire that burns in him. Is
how
no
do you
joke.
not cheer for him though? You
It's
know,
no joke.
I mean, this is self-made. You know, like the first half of Scarface before it got really out of control and awesome. Like it was kind of like an American hero, like an American classic story of like, you know, the guy comes from another land and he builds his business up. And
It took a turn towards the
I
end
mean,
there,
but this is where Mike
yes.
is at, where he gets like the mansion and he's just, you know, looking at everything that he's created. I'm happy for him.
I will say though, like, you know, getting rich like that and having contentment in your life, it will soften you. It will soften you.
Your stool or just your personality?
It could harden your stool.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. Either way, you're standing. That's all you know, right? DraftKings.
All right, let's
yeah.
remind everyone, we got a great partner here, BC, do we
We do.
not? UFC 303, when is it? This Saturday.
Yeah.
This Saturday.
IF to the W, baby.
You can get in on the action with our partners for UFC 303 with the DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of the UFC. BC, banger card, of course, with the return of Alex Pereira. We got Yuri Prochazka. We've got Anthony Smith. We got a bunch. Oh, we got, dude, how about Brian Ortega and Diego Lopez?
How come no one's
Sick
talking about
ass fight.
MVP versus Ian Gary?
There's another one. So here's the deal, BC. If you're new to DraftKings, check this out. New customers who bet $5.
You mean after they download the DraftKings Sportsbook?
Yes, I've already said that.
Yeah.
Luke Thomas not listening. $5, get $150 in bonus bets instantly. As BC indicated, all you got to do, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use what code, BC?
MK. That's it. MK, $150 in bonus bets. Put $5 down. What do you got? MVP by decision over Ian Machado Gary. That's an interesting bet. If you're a new customer using that code MK, you can get the $150 in bonus bets. And if sports betting is not yet available in your state, do not worry, folks, because DraftKings is the one-stop shop for all things daily fantasy, where you can join in on all the fun and have your shot to win cash prizes. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app today. MK, $5, $150 bonus bets. Remember, folks, at the end of the day, that crown, it's yours.
Lopez or Ortega? Don't tell me who you think's going to win. Does it end in submission?
No, it ends in knockout.
Yeah, I think it ends TKO. I think
Yeah.
there will be jiu-jitsu in it, but I think it
Yes.
ends in TKO.
I wonder, you know, you asked Mike Perry an interesting question about essentially domesticizing an animal.
Yeah.
You know, and it's what any
Domesticating?
domesticating. Wow, I can just really go into the wrong territory of my
Oh.
brain there. And it's a you know, it's a thing anyone has to deal with when you're in a sport so violent, whether you're an NFL star or boxer. They built movies on this exact thing. But Luke, can Brian Ortega's happiness now with marriage and, you know, and he's got his kids back in his life, and you know, he's probably had to put that black book away. He's probably had to put the black book in the triangle and tap it out. Can he be that same wild man in the cage? Is it time, Luke? Is there still, yes or no? Is there still a window that Brian Ortega comes out here and doesn't win caveman style in a wild fight? But do you remember the guy against Korean Zombie? I know the hand speed and foot speed was a major factor in that matchup. But do you remember when he came back shaved head against Korean Zombie and just looked like a tactical, smart fighter?
Yes.
Wasn't like against Max when he was just willing to go to fight to the death right
Yeah.
there. Will we see a return? Is there still time in his career?
Lopez won't let him. Lopez is going to be in his face. Korean Zombie didn't do that. By the way, I did a breakdown for that fight.
On your personal channel.
Yeah, well, hold on. So after that, one of his main sparring partners wrote me and asked if I had been given information about what had happened in his camp, because I had nailed it to a T about what they were trying and what he had done in the fight. He was actually like blown away.
Ortega's people?
Yeah.
They were blown away that you diagnosed his game so well.
Yeah.
See, I've been diagnosing the potential of his personal life before this
Ortega,
marriage.
Ortega himself didn't reach out as a training partner, but yes.
Dude, we got to get Ortega back on the show, win or lose. Remember that interview he gave me on MK?
Yeah, I haven't
where he
interviewed
was like,
Ortega
the
in
Phoenix
a long time.
will rise from my loins. You know what I mean?
All
Like,
right, we still have to do DMs from Donks. You want to do it real quick?
well, you want to finish talking about 303, or do you want to give the people a special 303 preview? Or
I think we should do a special 303 preview.
Are you talking about another bonus episode this week?
I think we have to.
You know,
It's a UFC pay-per-view. We kind of have to.
it's chowder.
Yeah. We're going to bang, eat chowder. All
All
right.
right. So if you were coming here hoping for a detailed UFC 303 International Fight Week preview, you're going to get it later. Is it Friday?
I think we'll probably do another one on Friday, yeah.
All right. If you guys are prepared for the fist, we'll turn it. You know, we'll get that in there and just turn it, right? Right? We'll just all right.
All right.
You know.
Let's do that now. Let's do the DMs from dogs.
All right. Hee haw. Let's hit it.
I mean, just
Yes.
you know what, that donkey's getting that Hawk Tua treatment right there, buddy.
Oh yeah.
Some other donkey is letting it be known. All right, BC.
Yeah.
Let's get to it from Kev J Math.
Yes.
Do my Oilers win tomorrow? Have you followed the story?
I
at all?
am not following the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Boys
no.
in the back, am I right that the Oilers were down 3-0 in the series and have battled back? It's now 3-3 Game 7.
Gaff, can you confirm that?
Is
Gaff
that right?
Museum?
Am I right back there? Yeah, dude. So the last time we saw this was when the Red Sox played
2004.
2004
I
against
was
the
at
Yankees.
I was at the bloody sock game in Game 6. People forget that, except for the who's that red-haired chick that watches this show? The snarky red ginger.
Yeah.
She hates me
Doesn't like
because
you
you
very
know
much.
because I was like Schilling fought like a man in that game. You know what I
It
mean?
was a great performance by him.
Yeah.
But in any case, do you think they can...
I don't care whether they live or die, but what do you think? I don't care.
So I guess
I think Oilers. I think Warren Moon. You know
I
what
think
mean?
Oilers. I think that girl with the tatas. Remember that? She was flashing. Remember that?
Yeah, I like, you know.
I said it to BC. I'm like, we should put this on. Have you seen this shit? He's like, well, we actually can't. We can't do that.
Yeah, we can't show those. So we've shown Dong accidentally. We've shown Death accidentally. By the way, I don't know if we can show Tata. Well, actually, we did. Remember, the star of Mandalorian, Gina Carano. Thank you.
Oh,
Thank
right.
you, Gaff.
I don't know. I don't follow enough hockey to know, but I would love it if the Oilers did win.
That'd be great.
That'd
Shout
be
out,
cool.
by the way, to Bernie Barmersdale, publicist of the Stars, for getting us in touch with Mike Perry. We
Yes,
appreciate
indeed.
that.
All right. Question number 2, BC, from Nate the Great Lux.
I mean, how great is Nate, right? Let's be fair. Probably decent.
Probably
but, you know.
decent, yeah.
Yeah.
Is the middleweight division, in the words of Gervonta, mediocre?
Yeah, mediocre. He's making fun of white people when he says that. And I'm here for it.
I know,
you know
I know.
what I mean? Yeah.
Is the middleweight division becoming the new lightweight division in which the old guard refuses to lose to the young up-and-comers? Good question.
That is a good question. I said that it's sort of becoming the reality TV division of the moment, that there's so many like storylines and rivalries that I'm keyed in on. Does it have the depth at the moment to be in this conversation with bantamweight and lightweight as sort of the de facto deepest and best divisions, which part of what makes it best is the fact that the old guard refused to go quietly, right? So you're
Yes.
going to constantly get these crossroads bang out matchups. Is it there yet? I think it's the best division
I don't know
this
if you
year.
can call it old guard. I think Izzy is 34. Rob's 33. I think both DDP and Sean Strickland, 32 or less?
I think they're just coming to all in their primes.
Yeah, exactly. It's not quite the old guard. If you're at 35, like DDP was, like Dustin Poirier was, it's a little different.
Would you agree that it's the best division right now at this moment? It's the best division in the sport.
What?
Middleweight at the top end.
Are you out of your fucking mind?
It's so good right now.
It's definitely cool to have those 4 guys at the top. The rest of the division is...
You holding out for women's strawweight or what? You know, yeah, I mean,
that's you.
They do have
holding
a history.
out for women's strawweight. That's you.
I resemble that.
All right, I'm not even reading this motherfucker's
yo,
name, but
come on.
You can put up question. You can read it. How about read this fucker's
All right,
name?
at Dookie McPoopy.
Exactly. With contenders like
That's
Tetsuro Taira,
brilliantly dumb.
Rei
stuff.
Saruya, and then Kaya Sakura, how likely is it that the UFC gets its first Japanese champion this year? Unlikely.
I
Kaya
think the
Sakura,
United Nations has said I should not comment on this
yeah.
question.
Well,
you know.
Kaya Sakura is not best in class, and Rei Saruya and Tetsuro Taira are very... Taira's maybe at flyweight. He's a maybe. The problem with both of the other guys in Saruya and Taira is not that their talent is any question, BC. They're just young. They're green. They're not quite there in terms of becoming who they will be.
Sure.
So it's like, this year, do they get it? That seems unlikely. But 2025, 2026, that could be a different conversation.
Could be a totally different one.
All right. I don't want you to get you canceled.
What did I do wrong?
All right. From what the fuck? Fionn Radford McGovern. Okay. Do you guys favor MVP? Oh, good question. Do you guys favor MVP to beat Ian Gary, considering it will more than likely play out on the feet? If not, how do you see Ian Gary winning? He could win via takedown,
I feel like
right?
this is like a majority split decision that Ian Gary will out-suave MVP, but it'll be like a real heated chess match. It'll be could come down to one clean punch down the end. And if Gary passes that test and does it against somebody that's so hard to hit, but is also so different and elusive, I think he goes to another level on this build and on this rise.
Ian Gary is like a little bit of an outside kickboxer, so that won't really work all that well against MVP, I think.
Yeah.
It will work a little bit, but not enough to win. I think, honestly, the clinch might be a really interesting part.
You think the MMA community owes his wife an apology for like the awful things that they said about like the husband living
You mean
in the
all of the
house.
complete fabrications about the individual lives?
Did you
of
hear that
people?
video that she put out a couple months ago?
No.
I've watched it a lot of times. It's interesting. Yeah.
I've not watched it.
all right,
I've not
all right.
watched it. I've not paid attention to it. I just know.
We like the same sport, but
Dude,
for different reasons.
nobody is more concerned about how fighters are using their dick. I thought USADA was the most. Put the camera on me. I thought USADA was the most concerned about what fighters were doing with their dicks. No. It's a certain amount of MMA fans and a certain amount of MMA personalities. What is everyone doing with
What
their
if I
dick?
had 24/7 VADA access to just knock on the door and be like, dick inspection?
No,
We gotta figure out.
I've never ever once been concerned about what Ian Garrett's doing with his
It's like,
dick.
Sorry, we've been in your DM, sir. It looks like something's about to take place
Yeah.
here. We are.
If you've got Hawk Tua treatment going on, you're not watching other people's dicks, right? That's how that goes. Okay.
Oh, wow.
All right. Last but not least,
Oh, yeah.
I've just never seen what's up with that guy's dick, man. What's he doing with that thing? The fuck is wrong with y'all? All right.
Yeah, worst kind of people think about that.
All right. Art_Lopez85. Will Luke finally admit what the fuck? The Mexican food?
The basketball.
He just put the
Yeah.
Mexican food is the superior Latin food. Now that's a very interesting claim.
I've been told Peruvian food is the elite South American
It
food.
is the elite
I know
South
Mexico's
American
not South America, but in the general.
Peru's food is the best in South America by a mile.
Yeah, MK Viewer, our guy Lee shouted me out and taught me that, and I've had it. But Mexican food is my go-to in this area. Make a case for someone else. Make a case for Suriname.
Well, he's saying Latin food.
or
so he's saying
Guyana.
these are not Hispanic cultures.
Okay, how about Uruguay?
Uruguay?
Yeah, I mean, I tried, right?
Uruguay. They were Uruguaying each other's ass when they crashed into a mountain. They were from Uruguay. That's where they were
That
from.
is true, yeah.
Okay, so anything Latin would be what? Mexico down to basically
Why don't
Argentina.
you tell me? I mean, does Belize count, Luke, or are you going to do the...
Belize is not
are you
quite
going
the
to
same.
Latin Fauci check their blood? Be
It's
like,
not quite
not
the same.
enough mitochondria.
It's not about the blood. It's about just
Yeah.
what kind of culture is there. Dude, Mexican's up there.
It's of course
Mexican's
up
up
there.
there. It's
I'm
up there.
talking about not Americanized Mexican. I'm talking about like when you go to like the authentic place. That's,
Yeah. Where you can get like real mole or something like that, right?
Yeah, or that elote. You know, just
Elote.
yeah.
That coco limonada.
Remember Coco
Elote?
Livio 1, 2, 3.
Elote is really, 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 really good. I'll say this. Oh man, I don't know. It's not better than Peruvian. It's not. It's not better than Peruvian. It's really fucking good. It's amazing. It's
Do you
not
think when Tupac sang when he was
It's
like
number two. It's number two.
when Tupac was like, and weekends were made for Michelob, that like he was so early on really understanding the class and quality of beer that, you know, with the craft revolution that came after that, then Michelob wouldn't even have been. Shout out to Michelob. You get to peel the paper off, right? Those are pretty cool, you know. And
I'll say this: Peruvian number one, Mexican number two. I'd probably put Argentina number three,
all right, you want to see my shit?
but maybe Brazil too. Yeah, let's see.
Or
your
do we
shit.
have any more of these DMs?
That's it. We're done.
All right. I scoured the globe yesterday for the highs and lows, the good, the bad, the ugly, the in-between, in the worlds of combat sports,
Although,
and usually beyond.
We're probably about to look at a bunch of dicks,
Yeah.
considering I just
Be-
insulted other
Could
people.
be some
but-
elder abuse, too. This one's called Have You Seen This Shit? Luke, it didn't take long for Hawk Tua to take over the world. We got merch. Would you wear this hat?
in a minute.
Spit on that thing. Yeah, give him that. Give him that. That I mean,
Oh, wow. I mean, classy.
that woman is iconic. She is.
We need to add what she said to our intro. Have you seen this shit? And he goes, ugh. But instead of ugh, it should be hot.
Okay, we've also got truck decals. If you're interested, probably in Florida, you can get spit on that thing on the back. You can also get the full political sign on your back window there.
Well, this guy appears like a fucking loser.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay, all right. Luke, we've also got new shirts. Would you wear this on MK if they'll send you a free one?
if she don't hawk Tua, I don't talk Tua. It's not bad.
And can you, special edition, rate that Hawk Tua tat?
And spit on that thing. You get me?
Can you rate that tat, Luke?
That's a 10 out of 10. That's a 10 out of 10.
Wow, Mr. Hebas getting the shaft once again.
Someone's getting the shaft.
I was thinking about that, right? Yeah, somebody is. Hey, Luke, it's UFC making its Saudi debut. Look at the passion of the Reaper.
With a
Dude, he
monumental
looks
statement in reality.
so awesome on Saturday.
But I love these moments when you see the real come out of him. That's the pent-up aggression. Look at that. Look at that.
Yeah, dude. He had prepared his ass off for Hamzat Chimaev, had to deal with all the stress and change.
He must be a passionate lover. You know what I mean? We don't talk about that enough, right? All
Okay,
right.
once again, not interested.
Luke, Robert Whittaker took advantage of the early finish by announcing he's about to finish early.
You. Yeah, I'm done now. I can just go upstairs and get back to doing what I was doing before. Just hardcore masturbating.
That's literally me to you on every single work trip.
What if Rob was one of us, Luke? Just a slob like one of us, all right? Also, Kelvin Gastelum picked the wrong week to leave this kind of evidence on the internet ahead of missing weight.
Guys, and this is why, as you can see, I have a whole buffet. This is why it's called Missing Weight with KG. We about to eat this all up, and we ain't gonna make weight. We're gonna miss the weight.
How prophetic
Also,
or
in fairness,
pathetic was
you would
that?
say buffet in Spanish.
All right, we're not going to pick apart that guy gave half of his life at UFC 236. Can we respect him on that regard? Okay.
Also, that video had like, I mean, maybe people have watched it since, but like, as of like Friday, there was like 2K, less than 2K.
So that video just came out ahead of this.
No. No, I think it had been out for a little while. It was like a month ago he did it.
Okay, it still looks really bad. Dana's pissed at him. I feel bad. You know.
I don't feel bad. I don't even feel.
You know who's
slightly
still upset
bad.
is Pavlovich. Did you see afterwards when former sparring partner Volkov tried to congratulate him? Oh, shit.
You know what? He's just frustrated. This is what I always say this, man. Like, I don't really judge guys immediately after fights. It's unsportsmanlike and shitty. You shouldn't do it. But you got to wait like 6 or 7 hours and then see what they're saying. If they're still saying shitty things, well, then fuck them. But
all right. Hashtag fight forever. Nicholas Dalby and Rinat Fakhrednikov. Look at what they gave us for the last 10 seconds of their 3-round war, Luke.
yeah, this was I'll say
Phone
this.
booth.
Yeah. These guys. I mean,
Whoa,
what the-
helicopter arms. Look at this guy.
This is what it looks like in my car wash. I like Nicholas Dalby though. He's a good dude.
So, Luke, Saudi Arabia brought us that action, but it brought us a brewing bromance between Dana and Turkey Aliskerov.
Yeah.
Here's evidence number one when Dana named Turkey the new BMF champion. Luke, belt looks really good on him, right?
Nothing like profanity in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. You know what I'm saying?
Number two, Turkey tweeted this video out. It was shades of what's that guy's name? Wow, look at that, Luke.
This is Turkey, but honestly, you know who can shadow box like this? Tukey.
Oh, Tukey can.
Tukey
Shades
can
of
shadow
Ron
box like
Stander.
this.
Remember former heavyweight title challenger Ron Stander? Terrence Crawford would fight in Omaha, where Ron's from.
Oh, yes.
And then they'd show him ringside, and he'd be like all crip, and he'd be like throwing like. That's kind of what Turkey. But I respect it because that's my move, Turkey. Whenever I get excited about a fight, just
I know
involuntarily.
that's every guy, you know, waiting for the shower to heat up, you know.
And then he literally led Dana through the country by the hand. Luke, what did you make of this video?
So this might just be some kind of cultural thing. I'll never forget. Obviously, the only common denominator is the fact that they're Muslim countries. When I was in Turkey, dudes would walk arm in arm together at various ages too, not like older
yeah,
ones.
it's 2024.
No, this is 2014, so this is a while ago. But they would kind of walk arm in arm like that. So I think it's just a
so
cultural
the internet
practice.
thought it was like him making a statement to everybody that I have ownership over this.
You know,
man.
they'll just, if they want to do that, they just bonesaw him.
Well, Turkey took the bromance to the next level on the ESPN broadcast. Let's listen in.
This live event went so successfully here tonight.
I want to have a meeting with him and the director, Zack Snyder, he's a friend. We want to talk about doing big movie about the UFC, like a Cinderella Man, something like this. I will try to convince Zack Snyder. He liked the idea and convince also Dana.
Luke, they're going to do a Cinderella Man style movie about I'm going to guess, the odds and obstacles that were overcome in the creation of the UFC.
Was the promoter in any way the hero in Cinderella Man?
No, the
right.
the poor fighter who who fought through the Depression.
The guy who was basically eating shoelaces.
The guy
to live.
who was working the docks to try to keep money on the table.
I'm like, I'm not sure you can do that one unless you're unless the UFC is the villain in that movie.
Okay, if there was no symbolism in the picture of in the video of Turkey guiding Dana by the hand, what's the symbolism in Turkey posting this picture?
What the fuck is that?
Well, look, my first thought was it's a Conor party, and I'm like, where's Craig Jones when we need him, right? No, but does that show that like Dana's arrived in the desert in Saudi and he's getting his hands dirty and Dana's like, let me tell you how much I hate the media, Turkey. I feel we can bond over this, right? You know what I mean? No.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah,
he's like, there's a couple guys I've been wanting to bone saw.
Yeah, there we go. But that's interesting. All right, confirm or deny, Luke. Fans of your live chat have said that you audibly farted on air this week. Let's see.
Did I?
Let's listen in.
Smoothness and the integration of a really developed, smart game. It's all there as well. And I got to tell you, like, I don't know where your appetite is.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
I don't know. I might have.
Since we've been normalizing.
I actually don't. I'm being 100% serious. I don't remember doing that. But
it could be an AI fart. But since we've been normalizing the idea of shitting your pants as an adult, maybe you can normalize that move for a pot. Because I ate on the air and people won't let me they won't forget.
Well, you just you just sound like a fucking barn
animal. It looked like Tyron Woodley in that movie, right?
So I didn't realize I might have farted. That's
all right.
Very,
hey,
very
BKFC
possible.
highlight of the week, Luke. Watch out if you're a referee trying to stop a fight early.
Oh,
wow.
Fucking shit.
Oh, wow.
Dude, what the fuck?
He was like, I smelt that deli meat and hooch. Is that Keith Peterson? No, it's not. Look at even Feldman getting involved.
Man.
All right.
Tough-ass sport.
Luke, I love when real is out there recognizing real, right? Check out this. Two goats, Fedor and Boney. What do you think they talked about?
Why is John dressed like...
What do you think they talked about? I'm going to guess this was maybe at that... When was John in Saudi? For one of the big boxing matches, right? Didn't they fly him out?
For the PFL one or some shit?
Oh, that's right.
Wasn't he there?
Yeah. That's
Yeah, it must have been because Fedor has to have wearing the Bellator gear, and it was Bellator versus PFL.
Okay,
he might have been there for that.
If you're mad that the UFC is allowing this old guy fight with Stipe to take 2 years of our attention, out of 100, what are the odds that the UFC would be willing to give Fedor one more call to fight John before he retires?
0.
That's a 0. You'd give a Brock Lesnar-Jones match in 2024 ahead of that one.
Yes. Yeah.
Interesting. All right. Real recognized real, Luke, in Vegas after Benavidez scored a big win on pay-per-view when El Monstro and Dana White caught up. What'd you think about this?
Hey, I would like to hear do you know what he says?
Just Dana said how badass Benavidez is.
I mean, I'll say this. Like, I realize people are kind of down on him based on that performance at 175, but I was...
Down on him? He was hurt.
I'm not saying I was. I'm saying people have been. But, like, if there's one guy who's, like, guaranteed action, in general, it's David Benavidez. I get why Dana likes him.
Well, Rolly Romero walked by some boxing royalty in public against Julio Cesar Chavez Sr. And look, they're working on, carving up that game a little bit, sharpening up the edges.
Does Rolly speak Spanish?
Barely. I mean, his dad's from Cuba. Or his dad's of Cuban descent, so he can
get by.
He can get by, I believe. What do you think about this mentorship? What do you think they were talking about? Bitches or boxing?
A little column A, a little column B, maybe.
All right. You asked for more parkour hell, Luke, involving white folks. Let's go to that.
I mean, that's just the only kind.
European edition.
Oh,
yeah.
Hold on, let me see this. Oh,
boy. PF Elidor.
Hold that.
Speaking of Europe, PF Elidor was in Dublin, Luke. How about Zabit Magomedsharomov's brother? Hassan improved to 5-0. There he is on the right. Looks a lot like him.
Just styling on these hoes.
Wow. Look at this is like video game stuff. What do you think? Do you think he could become what Zabit never was, Luke?
I don't understand the graphic. Featherweight male 145. Is that what they're doing?
Yes.
I can tell that they're males.
Well, yeah. Okay.
They love putting graphics on the screen that no one needs.
Luke,
it's their favorite thing.
Future Irish star Paul Hughes made his long-awaited PFL debut in Europe. Here he is giving Bobby King the TKO finish.
This is not Bobby King Green or Bobby Green, King Bobby Green or whatever the fuck. It's not Bobby Green. But Paul Hughes looked pretty great. Took him a little bit to get going. It took I think a couple of big shots in the first round. But in general,
after the win with Conor in attendance, Hughes gave flowers to the man. Let's hear it. What do you think of this?
Well, of course, it's a huge occasion. Bellator debut. We're here in Dublin, this incredible arena. Your man Conor McGregor over there watching, paying attention, giving you a round of applause. I mean,
probably wouldn't be in this position if it wasn't for a man like that to inspire me. Come from this island, was the first man to ever show us young lads it was possible, and that breaks down a lot of mental barriers. And people talk shit, but this man changed the game and changed all of our young fighters' lives. So shout out Conor McGregor, because that guy, he's the man, and always will be the greatest to ever do it. Thank you.
Well, Luke, unfortunately, if they're talking about you in those terms, it usually means because it's over. They're almost saying, remember what this guy used to be. I hate that we're there. I hate that we're there, and it's inactivity that got us there.
It's a little more than that.
White lightning?
White magic.
All right, let's keep it going. Hey, Ryan Garcia can't box for a year, but he showed up on the Celebrity Poker live stream annoying Jimmy Butler, Neymar. Here's a
Is he going to chug that whole thing? All right.
Neymar with us too?
6,000 with nothing. But got it. Takes me 3 hours.
Jimmy.
Oh my God,
he's a diamond would be insane.
Wait, no, we don't have that. Actually, we I'm different. Damn.
Low rolling him.
I'm gonna start
Garcia's Chris Eubank Jr.
I don't see Neymar anywhere.
Feeling with this table.
It feels great. I love Jesus, and I'm feeling great.
Are those pants just falling off?
I'm happy the money went to you. Thanks, bro. Because you have a lot
That's
of girls,
Dan
and I do too.
Bilzerian, or whatever his name is.
Just fucking shitting
like don't they stop Neymar?
Devin Haney. What are your thoughts on him? He slept with B. Diddy. He had massive sex with him. Then I beat his ass, and he sues me.
He had massive sex
So
with him.
apparently he was up big, but then he told on the live stream everybody that he had to make that comedy debut with Chris D'Elia, which actually happened, and he didn't tell any jokes. He just stood there and drunkenly talked in the microphone. So I was told that he just started losing hands on purpose. And then he was asked about boxing, and he said, I can't box for a year, but I've been begging Dana White for a fight. And then during the stream, I was told he was asked what his MMA game would look like. And his response, I'm going to drop loads in these guys' mouths.
Yeah. Yeah, we're going to have gay sex.
I don't know. Like, I feel bad even putting these clips in there anymore. This is only going to bad
you know what
places.
just drives me nuts is he's obviously a fucking disaster, and this is going to end badly. I don't know when, but it's going to end badly.
I hope not.
But it's the people online cheerleading this motherfucker's descent into nothingness.
Yeah, we're getting there.
It's like dude, it looks like fun and games.
Well, we got a video of him exiting the poker room, Luke, and crossing the street. Oh, shit! Wow. Who's videoing this?
Dude, what? Is this in Greece? Where is this?
I don't know, but your boy is sideways after that. Wow. All right. Let's go to UFC Louisville.
I'll say this. I'm glad there were no cameras on me when I was 25.
Yeah, indeed. No Facebook either. Let's go over to UFC Louisville, Luke. There was a good-ass crowd fight in there. What are your thoughts on this?
Let's see. Oh, shit. Oh,
popping off. Take that.
Dude, again, it's so rare that you see someone win a fight from a...
from the lower ground?
Yeah, you always want to be from an elevated position.
Didn't we learn that in Return of the Jedi? Or no,
no, because remember
3?
UFC, what was the last UFC they were at? There was one guy who won. You played it last week.
Yeah, but didn't we learn that from Obi-Wan? You got to get the high ground.
Yeah, you got to get the high ground. Especially if you're doing the old pow-pow, you got to get from an elevated
Luke,
position.
you ever will go to a golf match and they're like, and as soon as somebody hits, they're like, get in the hole or something like real aggressive.
I don't go to golf
male.
matches, but yes.
They got new rallying cries now. You might like
this game, the honor and integrity these players have.
I just shit my pants. I just shit my pants. We're just once again.
Wait, play it one more time.
I love about this game, the honor and integrity these players have.
I just shit my pants. We're just normalizing it one clip at a time. Hey, smoke them if you got them, Luke. This is 3 ounces of weed it took to do the Ronald McHotbox. Could you stand the pain inside of there that this man is undergoing?
No, but I wouldn't try to stand it. I would just let the smoke take me.
Well, this is what he attempted here. This is aggressive. 3 ounces it takes to do this. He's coughing violently. We are currently not running the audio, but it is aggressive.
Tony? Oh,
yeah.
hell yeah.
Oh, wow. Just a dream ending right there.
Dude, you would be so fucking baked.
Well,
hell
Luke, it's almost July 4th, and Squirrel Bait was back honoring America with both his shirt and this immense watermelon bong system. That's right, Luke. What do you think of this? First of all, it's patriotic.
I mean...
Yeah, Troy.
Hey, we have big gas.
So Squirrelbait said, shout out to Squirrelbait, first of all. He said us and our crew are welcome anytime in the greater LA area with him and his boys.
What is the what language is that?
Maybe it's Southern. Yeah.
It's like half Spanish, half Portuguese or something.
No, that's right. That's his catchphrase.
No, aha, Pomona.
Oh, I don't know who's posting
para.
that. I don't know who's getting off on that. But speaking of watermelons, what do you think of this meme?
A little aggressive.
All right, let's keep it going, Luke. This next one brings new meaning to the term lunch lines. You ever see those at school?
Casually having a couple of cheeky lines for lunch. My man's even wearing a sweater and shit.
Right. Just in the UK, they just get at Craig Jones should move there. They just get after that all the time, Luke. Australia and the UK, these white folks, they just love it.
It ain't just them.
Wow, indeed. A couple more for you, Luke. Raul Rosas has really turned this into a juggernaut.
What you think of the cut?
I mean, Luke, tell me you wouldn't buy a Chihuahuas headband.
I would not buy a Chihuahuas headband. Right.
How about undies that just said Chihuahuas across in like a half circle around the groin?
I would also not purchase these items.
All right, Luke. Let's go. My kid. By the way, my son Chris just got his license.
Driver's license
this week. Yeah, I took him.
Yeah. Learners or license?
The full license. Late last week. So I got a driver on the road. I'm gonna have him watch this video.
So I just got fired for literally no reason. My boss said it's because you're on your phone too much. You're too distracted at work.
Well, we got one more.
I'm hoping guys like that die because it's such a great version of natural selection. You know,
it's a great bit. Yeah. We got one more for you. We love America. We love white folks, and we love trampolines, so we combine them.
Hell yeah. Someone's about to break their motherfucking legs. Watch this shit. I've never even seen this, and I know. Look at this fat motherfucker. Oh, shit! Gav, you better play that one more time, motherfucker. Look at this hefty piece of shit.
Chub Rock. Oh, wow.
Crippled for life, asshole.
Oh, wow. Just like his hero, FDR. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, we're going to put you in the same place, this time without the polio.
Yeah.
Huh? Yeah.
Talk about a new deal. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Oh, what a show. This is the stupidest 2 hours of your week.
Hey, I have to give a shout out to somebody. Saul Milton, who is one half of Chase and Status.
I love that man.
So shouts to Saul. Saul was in DC for a Chase and Status show.
I think it's in UK talk, in Brit speak, it's pronounced status.
Status?
Yeah.
Fair enough. When in Rome. But anyway, Saul was like, hey, let's connect. He wanted me to come to a show. We could not get a babysitter in time. But he didn't.
You're like, needs more Vikings. Sorry.
Well, here's the thing. He didn't go on until 1 a.m.
Yeah, Saul, we're 46 years old. I'll be 46 very soon.
His set was 1 to 2:30, and I was like, oh, dude, I can't. I mean, we just can't do that.
Shaq Majori would have loved that.
But I promised him next time I'll we'd make some room for it. Anyway, we did link up. We got some drinks, and we hung out for a little bit before his show at the hotel.
Dude, the nicest man
The
ever.
nicest guy.
And it wasn't pitched to us when Dan Hardy brought in his friend to our locker room before our London show. It wasn't pitched like, here's this awesome, famous guy who watches you. It's just like, oh, yeah, my buddy Saul's here. He's a big fan of yours.
And that's how he treats it when you're with him, too. He's just a dude, but he's cool. So shouts to Saul. We did get to meet up with him. And his show in D.C. was sold out, too. So
damn.
I asked him how the American crowds were. He was telling me 10 years ago. This is what he told me. I didn't know this. He told me like 10 years ago, the American crowds were nothing. Skrillex, you know Skrillex?
No.
Skrillex is like, Gav, how would you describe Skrillex?
Gav doesn't know Skrillex.
How would you describe him?
I don't know if Gav works here anymore.
Say that one more time.
Do you know who Skrillex is?
Of course, yeah.
How would you describe his music to Brian?
EDM.
But also like it's like dubstep a little bit too. Anyway,
sounds a little dub T as well.
Well, here's the thing. I'm not a Skrillex guy, but apparently he was like the first major version of this kind of music here to hit. He said after that, it completely opened the doors, and ever since Skrillex became really popular, he's just been able to come here and sell out shows. So shouts to him, man. Saul Milton, good dude.
Love that guy. Big shout out to that guy. Can't wait. A lot of guys in the extended UK universe, MK universe, Luke, who have shown us the love but we got to catch up. We got to meet O'Teal. That was amazing.
Yeah, he was cool as shit.
I want to feel this love with our other people, like Big E.
I meant to tell you. So I
want to feel you, Big E.
I was riding bikes with the Tukester yesterday in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And we went to the park, and then we came back from the park, and we're riding our bikes back from the park. And one of my neighbors, I'd never even noticed this.
They saw the workout video with their house in the background.
No, not even. They had a Grateful Dead sticker on their car.
Wow.
And they have a DC, maybe it had been Virginia, I can't remember. But they had a vanity plate that had like a version of Deadhead on it. And I was like, I don't even like this band like you like, and I've seen them at the Sphere. Pussy.
Did you be like, yo, you ever hear O'Teal? That's my motherfucking boy.
That's my motherfucking friend, bitch.
Yeah. Did you talk dead with them?
No, they were not in their house, but I'd never seen that.
Actually, they passed away, but ironically,
the car was collecting pollen. But I'd never seen that in the neighborhood, so I was like, huh, interesting.
All right, so we'll be back Friday. With a free show. Fridays are free.
Free Fridays.
I mean, it's a busy schedule. We might as well give the people what they want. They asked to have us treat them this way, to just physically overpower them.
Yeah.
And while it's quite morally questionable at times, ethically too. But,
well, the good news is we're not getting paid to do it. So it's all gratis.
I keep saying we need to get Jean Jaleel in the studio. Do you think it would be a train wreck or would it be just comedic gold?
We'd have to smoke cigarettes with him.
Yeah, that dude loves parliaments, I'm sure,
We'd have to smoke cigarettes with him, but I think it could work.
Okay. Luke, people have commented that they've never seen you happier of late than in this MK journey than right now. This is the time to be the least happy in MK history. What is fueling your thunder?
I mean, I apologize for trying to be happy. Probably the drugs.
Yeah,
probably the antidepressants that I've been taking.
Drugs win the drugs war once again.
The thing is, like, honestly, like it's obviously, dude, if the amount of stress that we've been under, I'm not saying it couldn't get worse. It could always get worse. But like in terms of like the processing I had to go through to get to the place I'm in now, I kind of went through not all of it, but a lot of it. Should I keep worrying about all those things, or should I just fucking try and let it go?
To the next
you know what
level.
I mean? Like,
this is why, from the beginning, this stupid show has been relatable.
Yeah,
it just documents the growths, the journey, the ups and downs of men, and the I guess women are allowed too, right? Kind of like suffrage. At some point, they're like, we got a lot of men, right? It's great, right?
All right. On that note, that's Brian Campbell. I'm Luke Thomas. Follow us on all the socials and shit. You can put that graphic up there. Gaff. By the way, shouts to Gaff. Round of applause.
Gaff came out of MK retirement here to throw.
If you used to work with us and you've been fired, you can work with us again.
Yeah, for free usually. But no.
So there's that. There is that. But we have to get out of here. That's Brian Campbell. I'm Luke Thomas. Thanks to the whole crew here at Middle Lark. Thanks to Gaff.
I don't have any shoes on, but we're gonna have to go toe to toe one of these days, Luke. Okay?
All right,
we're gonna have to.
And
go
listen,
for it.
if she don't hawk to her, we ain't gonna talk to ya. We out.